Yes.
Did you just make this program? Did you do the whole
No, no,
thing?
no. I told you this is a Discord bot which you can invite onto your server, and it can record these things. And this is exactly what I've needed.
I didn't know they had that. That's pretty fantastic, actually.
It is pretty fantastic. I was looking something like this, like with like a multi-channel input sound interface, like a mix board or some shit like that. You can record every microphone individually. So I was wondering if there is a digital alternative to that, and it turns out this Craigbot is the shiz, as the saying goes. It does exactly what I need, and after everything's finished, I download the entire project, and I have the entire podcast in audio form, and everybody's audio track is separate, meaning I can edit everybody's audio. I can, if somebody's quieter or louder, I can equalize that up to a level where everything sounds nice.
They're buttery smooth. Buttery smooth. That's good.
How
All
you doing,
right.
man? What's new?
Nothing much, man. Same old. Just watching the craziness these past couple of weeks with the war. So the
Okay, hold on.
so-called.
Let me hold on. Let me get my coffee. Just a minute. Give me a second.
All right, no worries. Coffee is important during that time of hour.
Sorry about that. Need my rat poison early in the morning.
Well, that's fine, man. It's crack of dawn there, so understandable.
Yeah.
How often do you drink coffee? Is it like only once a day
Once a
or?
day.
Oh,
Once a
okay.
day. That's it. Like just to kickstart me early in the morning, especially if I get up early. I need to function
Is it the
optimally,
hardcore?
and it helps. It helps.
Is it the hardcore Turkish coffee, or is
No,
it
I got
home like?
this. Well, I have a hand grinding machine.
Oh,
I
nice. You
make
get the
my own
fresh
coffee, but
roast.
it's like it's prepared in the It's not really prepared in the Turkish way. We call it Turkish way, but it's just you get a little pot, jezve, these small little quote unquote Turkish coffee pots, a spoonful of coffee, half a spoon of sugar, some water, and at the moment when it starts rising, you get rid of it. You get it out of the fire stove. You put it in a cup. You wait for it to cool off a little bit, and you have it like this is how I have it. It's pretty strong because like all the powder also goes into the cup. It's down at the bottom, and it intensifies the coffee the longer you wait for it. And this just kickstarts me in the morning. Usually, I have to have some crackers because you can't have, at least for me, I'm a bit anemic, and you can't have that on an empty stomach. Otherwise, it'll kill you. But this is how we usually have it.
Wow, sounds good. Yeah.
Hold on, let me just text everybody just in case. There you go.
Yeah, I was trying to see if anybody was involved in the Mario Projects hashtag chat or the channel, but
No, everybody. Well, like I said, everybody's doing their own thing. Did you contact Mikhail?
actually, let me see.
Actually, no. That's fine.
Oh, no, I didn't have a chance.
It's okay.
It's 8 in the morning, and we're here. I think
Where
it's like
is
3 in the morning.
Kyle? Oy vey. Is he online or not?
Maybe it's the summertime. Who knows? Well, he just got back, right? Or he just moved to his hometown.
I
So,
think he said he went back home or some shit like that. Oh, okay. I got a friend's birthday today. Thanks, Facebook.
yeah. Well, I guess I didn't send a special reminder to people. I think that's what we have to do. I don't know. I don't know, man. At this point, I'm not sure.
Okay, just got a response from Nayeli. Not feeling too good right now. Oh boy. Okay, okay, okay. Jeez.
I don't know. I guess time it came and went by.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
I'll. There we go. Yeah. She's got a bit of a legitimate reason. I'll tell you. I'll tell you all about it. But I just don't want to talk about it on the podcast.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. So, Iran and Israel. Do you think it's over? Do you think it'll go on? Do you think it'll happen? What's gonna happen? What's new? What's
Yeah.
going
Well,
down? I mean, I saw the
uh,
news yesterday. Israel
yeah.
said whatever, I don't know, like the enriched uranium, or well, I don't know, something plutonium. I'm not sure. I just glazed over it. I think it was the Israeli Prime Minister of Defense or something like that. He says they were not destroyed, and we're gonna ask Iran to hand it over. You know when that's gonna happen? You know when Iran's gonna hand it over?
Probably never.
Never. I mean, come on. Let's be freaking real here. It'll never. Would you? Would you give it up?
No, man, after all this look, here's the thing, because nobody really nobody outside of the Middle East really knows what's happening in the Middle East, right? Because, like, of course, why would they, right? So,
Mm,
it's very easy for propaganda to spread if you don't know anything.
yeah.
Yeah, if dude, if let's say a country so happens to attack your country for some odd reasons, or you have something precious that they want, and they're constantly killing your people. I mean, how would you feel about it? you'd be pissed off, right? I mean, simple. It's just simple logic, common sense, right? So I don't think that's ever going to happen. Especially in what's happening now with the whole, what the world is. Well, these two countries are telling the world it's about nuclear proliferation, and no, it's not. It definitely is not. It's all about the regime within the region. It's all about regime. And again, most people don't know about this. They just go by what the news tells you.
That's kind of sad. But like, wouldn't you? I, I don't know. Like I said, I really, really try to avoid watching politics or following anything. I mean, I tried following some of the things mostly because of the memes and the jokes. But every once in a while, in these threads, you'll
Mhm.
see a decent comment that makes a little sense and makes you ask yourself a question.
Yeah.
And I try to watch a couple of debates, although I just really can't. They're like shouting matches, and I don't have the patience for a shouting match anymore. Probably because I don't get enough sleep. But
Yeah, that's
here is
true.
my question. Here is my question. In the unlikely scenario, okay, maybe like in the hypothetical scenario that Iran actually develops a nuclear weapon, then what? What are they going to do with it? Are they going to attack somebody unprovoked?
Well, the main purpose, if you know the whole thing about nuclear proliferation, why countries have nukes, it's all about deterrence. And again, I mentioned earlier that I think if geopolitics is like a prison yard, or best case scenario, a schoolyard. But nonetheless, there's always going to be bullies, and there's always going to be weaker people. That's just how the world works. So the nukes are a way to like stave off the bullies. Oh, you want to fight? Well, I got a big
And
weapon.
yeah, it's basically like giving a gun to the weaker guy,
Yeah,
so
that's
the
pretty
bully
much what it
doesn't get to
is.
bully him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
well,
and I
I've
mhm.
I've mentioned, sorry, I heard these comments and they did make a lot of sense. Like, why didn't the U.S. target the Soviet Union, Israel,
Right,
and
exactly.
Pakistan, India, China, and all these other places that developed a nuclear bomb, and they got the nuclear bombs, and now they have, I don't know, hundreds. Some of them maybe even have them in the thousands. The US didn't wag a finger, and it's not like they like at least from the Soviet Union. I mean, the US was engaged in a cold war with the Soviet Union for a considerable amount of time, and I'm sure there were some threats levied against the US, but the US did really what did the US do about that? But like here is a teeny ass country that doesn't they have a big mouth, but how much of an influence do they have? And they feel surrounded because, first of all, culturally, they're different than all of their other, well, they're not even their peers, right? Because as I understand it, every other Muslim country in the region is Sunni Muslim, whereas Iran are Shiite Muslim, right? And they're frowned upon. I mean, in passing, and most of the times that I've talking to some of my Muslim acquaintances, like when I ask this, because I was unaware of these things when I mentioned like, well, like what is the difference like between Sunni and Shiite? All of the Sunnis say there is no such thing. Like they literally don't recognize them. Now, granted, I've spoken to people from Kuwait, from Pakistan, and from Ethiopia, like Muslims from there, and all of them said it in the same way, like no, there's no such thing. There's no like they don't recognize them. They don't acknowledge their faith, so they feel kind of left out by these peers, and of course they're in trouble with the well, not in trouble, they're in conflict with Israel. And like you said, it is a deterrent. Like what's going to happen if they do, like they've been chanting death to America, but who hasn't? Very few countries haven't done that. Like most people talk about the US behind their back simply out of, well, let's say, envy, maybe a little bit because of influence, but mostly because of envy. Like I could be wrong, I don't know, I don't follow
Well,
these
may
things.
if I may, about when you mentioned about the "Death to America," people really misunderstand this slogan. It's a slogan from that was started, I think it was in Iran. I forget exactly where, but it's the sentiment is "Death to America." It's not about American citizens. It's not, "They hate us for our freedom," that rhetoric, which is complete nonsense. It comes from American foreign policy. And again, a lot of people don't know history. And if you understand history in certain regions, you will get to understand why that slogan exists. And when
Hmm.
people use that, it's quote mined. So they misuse this quote and say, "See, oh man, they hate America, so we got to do something about it." So propagandists take advantage of that statement, but it's not the case. And that's why I mentioned before, in other voice rooms, Ron Paul back in 2008 during the GOP this candidacy for the to become a president. That's where I first heard about this actually, and he made a lot of sense back then. And I was like, "Oh my god, who is this guy? Ron Paul, a politician that's talking sense. That's really rare." So he explained it all, and then in that congressional, the whole GOP, what do you call it? The primaries. They have like
Yeah.
these events, right, for the public to choose who will be the next GOP or the Republican nominee, right? So of course they have to sell it to the public to see everybody's points of view, right? I think there was like 8 candidates at the time, and Ron Paul said, "You know what? Maybe we should listen to our enemies and why they're attacking us." Crazy idea, right? I remember Mayor Giuliani said, "You know what? How dare you? They hate us for our freedom, man. How dare you talk about 9/11 that way? You should apologize to the." And then you can hear like
Oh, for fuck's
and
sake.
you can hear the old paw or from the crowd at the GOP convention or the at the event. Everybody just clapping loudly. Oh yes. And right there I got to realize all of that primaries and it's just a charade.
Well, not that
It's
it's
big.
not that it's a charade, but the thing is, emotional arguments work. Like
Yeah, sure.
if you can't shut somebody up by logic and reason, you can shut them up
Emotional appeal.
but basically an appeal to emotion. And this is what happened. I
Uh,
think I've told you about this conservative author lady. I have to say she's really astounding. Her name is
mm,
Phyllis Schlafly, and there's a
Delish.
movie made about her. And I think like the actual debate is available somewhere up on YouTube, but they made it into a movie.
Mm.
And Phyllis Schlafly uses logical arguments, whereas the opponent uses emotional arguments, and somehow the audience is cheering for the one that's spouting off the emotional arguments. However, the fun part here is this is a debate between women, and the audience is women. So, who do you think? What do you think they will listen to? Will they listen to logic, reason, and evidence, or do you think they will listen to appeal to emotions? Like, I think it's
Most
yeah,
definitely,
pretty
you'll know
pretty
the answer.
self-evident.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
You don't
pretty
have to even
self-evident
answer.
as to what they're going to go for. This woman, I think she raised
Uh,
5 children, wrote a bunch of books. I mean, she's both, I think she passed away recently. She's an accomplished author. She was a dedicated wife, a dedicated parent. I'm sure she's had her difficulties in her life, but she didn't really mope around it. And this goes back to that debate that you sent me about, feminism with those 3 ladies, 2 British ladies and 1 American lady, the psychologist or the psychiatrist. I'm still trying to finish it simply because whenever that lady in red starts talking, I start getting very squirmy inside, and because my cringe filter is very low, and I can't listen to certain stupid things that they claim. She's using, you know which debate I'm talking about, right?
Business. The Diary of the CEO, I think is the
The Diary
host.
of the Sea does like the panel of like 3 women and that guy who's the host of the podcast. They said that and spoke about feminism and radical feminism, right?
Yes.
You shared it on your Discord server. Well, that's the one I'm really trying to go through it, but the whole aspect, like she literally tries to deny every single argument that it's put out by them because she's the only radical feminist. The other women are kind of sort of feminists, but like to a certain degree they recognize maybe first wave feminism, the whole idea of women should be able to have the right to, well, maybe not vote, but there was a time where women couldn't own property, and I think that might be a little bit too far, right? Like some arguments, some feminist arguments do make sense. However, they have been long solved, and like once the movement does its purpose, there's no longer need for it to exist. But of course, you have second wave and you have third wave. We need rights, and then we like now it's at the level is like we're better than men. We don't need men. At least it feels that way. I'm not sure that it is, but it feels that way. And that lady with the red jacket certainly personifies that type. And she, I don't know, once again used a lot of emotional arguments, and she's kind of sort of for hookup culture, which I think is abominable both for men and women. And
Well, it oh, sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
no, 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 go ahead. I'm done.
No, the thing is that like, I'm trying to find this quote about that book you recommended, I don't know if you recommended it, I can't remember who recommended it, but I just finished the book. Gustave Le Bon, the Crowds, and it's just
Crowds,
like the
psychology of
psychology,
crowds. Well, no, I've
the
read it. I
psychology.
don't remember if I recommended it to you.
Yeah, so, like, at the end of the I'm trying to find that quote, it's so chilling because what it says is, when there's a movement, right, it's all about emotional appeal, not by logic, because that's all what movements are mainly, right, these crowds. Crowds behave by emotions, that's the best way to get a crowd in the first place, you can't just use basic logic. So, by saying that, movements usually, exist for a certain while, and then they die off. But the way this man wrote it, it's so chilling because I think that's what's happening with the feminist movements. I think slowly I would say these past 15 years, women are slowly starting to wake up and find out, wait a minute, these are great ideals, but in reality, it's not really what you expected it to be. Because right now, there's a lot of women in their 30s that have baby rabies, if you will, but they don't have a family, don't have children, and they're living in regret. Now, I'm not saying all women are like this, but a big percentage are. And in that document, in that actual panel with the Diary of the CEO, and that was a great episode, by the way. And I'm glad it's on the mainstream. Finally, they're talking about it, right? They demonstrated that. I think that one of the psychologists is like the majority of women aren't happy, even though we
Mhm.
have given all the women today all the rights, all the choices, which I agree, by the way, it's good for women and men, right? But at the same time, with choices, you have to be responsible and understand how real world works. And unfortunately, we've been living in this delusion in the United States. I can't speak for the rest of the world, but I think we're slowly trying to realize, wait a minute, we have to be more realistic here because it's not really working out for everybody. I think well, the psychologist says that there's like 25% of women in the United States are taking SSRIs or some sort of psychological, medicine for like their mental health.
It's
So that's
basically
not good.
methamphetamines, aren't they?
That's yeah, sure, if you put it that way, right? And the pharmaceutical company doesn't give a shit, they're making money, right? They don't care. Oh, yeah, yeah, sure, yeah, yeah. 'Cause, I really don't like the way how the whole, like, healthcare system's set up in the United States, but they're taking advantages. But anyways, it's disastrous, and I think there's I'm not and I'm really glad that the woman that was a psychologist was speaking up about it. I'm glad, because unfortunately, and when we talk about this, I'll be honest, no other women are not gonna listen to us at all. At least the women have to speak up about this. That's the only way they could turn it around. You know what I'm saying?
I
For
don't
this type
think
of
they're going to
ideology to end.
listen to themselves as well. I don't think so because, like you said, the crowds operate by emotion, and I think the whole
Yeah,
TikTok trend thing is an extension of the crowd in a way that I couldn't have ever imagined. Because look, first of all, I don't think a lot about crowds, but what I've noticed recently,
right.
because like I follow some accounts that portray, like, they show you the current trends, whether it's you need to use your left arm to reach around from the right side to touch your belly button, or do you need to put a pen underneath your boob or whatever. But there's a new trend, or maybe not so new, about women making videos of their quote unquote corporate environment, and they love their corporate environment. I'm just disgusted by it because they feel like it's a substitute for family. Because like when they say like, "Oh, I have this wonderful team and we're like a family." Well, that's exactly what it is. A corporate team is a family, but the thing is, it's not family in the actual sense, but it is a substitute. And some of these ladies are lying to themselves when they think that a business team in a company is your substitute. You have people from all different sorts of walks of life. Usually nobody's at the same age. Not everybody has the same goals in life. So you're not going to see eye to everybody. But the thing is, they like that aspect where, first of all, you go to an office, you actually socialize, which I think, this is one of the advantages of working in an office, something that I don't have. I'm stuck at home. You have that social aspect. Maybe, they put up a good face, they smile at each other. Oh, how you doing? Oh, you're doing fine. Oh, the shirt looks great. Oh, the blouse is lovely. I love the bracelet. I love the earrings. You have that sort of bullshit. So they substitute this thing for marriage, sorry, for a family. And when it comes to the manager, which on average, usually it's a man, well, my manager is great. Well, that's a fucking substitute for a husband. My question is, why would you go to a cold, rigid environment and substitute all of that bullshit when, like, why would you slave away for a man that's going to replace you as soon as you get fired or as soon as you quit, and you'll never hear from him again? Where you can actually find yourself a suitable partner who will think the world of you, and he will probably kiss the ground you walk upon, and he will cherish you and he will love you and he will take care of you. Now, that tweet that I sent the other day, when was it? Let me just I sent that in the Telegram group about women leaving the dating market, and that woman says that she'll spill her information. Let me find out. I sent it the other day.
It was a tweet. I don't recall.
Yeah, well,
By
I
the
took I took a screenshot. There we go.
while you look up okay.
Go ahead, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, while you look it up, let me, read the I found the quote, by the way, from Gustave Le Bon, 'cause it's so chilling the way he says it. Quote, "To pass in pursuit of an ideal from the barbarous to the civilized state, and then when this idea has lost its virtue, to decline and die. Such is the cycle of the life of a people." Gustave Le Bon. Yeah, chilling, dude. And that's
It
what's
is.
happening, I think. That's what's happening.
Here it is. Here is this is probably some Indian chick, I think, Hapruva Govind or Govind. I don't know how you say it. And I sent the screenshot. So the Wall Street Journal, and its brilliance, says American women have never been this resigned to staying single. The challenges of finding a romantic partner have been made more complicated by a growing divide in education and career prospects between men and women. Bullshit. And this lady says, like, oh fuck it, I'll spill. All my friends are still single in their 30s. They're
Oh,
hunting
yeah.
unicorns, which I couldn't have put it better myself, because
Yeah.
I've said the same thing about certain data engineers that were chemical engineers, and now they're data engineers, and like, all the women are not good for them. Yeah, I think you know who I'm talking about, right? He's hunting unicorns as well. But like, these women, like, they're hunting unicorns. Somewhere along the way, a man stopped being just a man. Now he's supposed to be
Yeah.
your therapist, your best friend, your passionate lover, your future father of the year, financial provider, and probably a mind reader too. And this is something that really pisses me off. Women expect men to be mind readers. This is why that whole thing, like, what's wrong? Nothing. Everything's fine. Like, they expect you to be a mind.
Well,
It
no,
continues.
Mario, you're lacking emotional intelligence. You have to know her emotions,
Yeah,
sir.
oh man, I'll tell you all about that. I'm reading that book. It says, all wrapped up in one devastatingly handsome package. Right. He says, we grew up on a steady diet of perfect men who could do it all, and now we're shocked to discover that actual humans come with flaws. I heard about this fucking term the other day that says, like, people who watch too much fiction, they get their realities from fiction. And there's literally a condition for that. These people have a flawed view of reality. I mean, do you remember the TV show 24? It's one of my favorites. This was with
Yeah,
Kiefer Sutherland, that
yeah.
British Canadian American dude. Basically, Sutherland himself had to go in front of Congress to tell certain congressmen that torture does not work. Because in the TV show 24, the way that the Jack Bauer does it, he's going to put some people under a lot of stress. He's going to put a Glock on their knee. He's going to pressure them, and in less than 30 to 60 seconds, this guy's going to get a confession out of them, and he's going to find the terrorists and save the day, in a matter of minutes and shit like that, right? So, like, that was a high tension show, very fluent, very in the moment. Every second counts and shit like that. This guy, the actor, had to go in front of Congress or some other panel of U.S. officials to tell these people that it doesn't work. And it's this phenomenon of people that use fiction in order to base their reality with. And this is what, have you seen the Handmaid's Tale movement of women? Like, for them, everything is the Handmaid's Tale. Everything.
Well, I mean, that's why, a lot of shows
Men
make a lot of
oppress us,
money.
men this, men that. I mean, they haven't fucking looked at the Middle East for starters, but somehow Western society is to blame for what they're going through.
Right.
Anyways,
Um,
to get back at your point
eh,
as to how women operate in the world. Jeez, I wanted to make the point, but about I think I forgot what your previous statement was. But like, let me tell you about some women in the corporate environment. Against my will and against my better judgment, my mother shoved me to work for the summer in a municipal office. In the municipal office, I worked there. I worked there for free. Unfortunately, my mother pocketed all my money because I was legally not permitted to get the money. It's a long story. Anyways, I worked there in the summer for like 4 to 6 hours a day, 3 days a week, and I was surrounded by women. And there we go. Your point said like women need to listen to women in order to change their minds. I think that's going to be really difficult, and I'll tell you why. Um, the way that women treat each other in the corporate environment, it's horrific. You know how women bully, right? Men bully each other physically, right? I'm gonna riz you about your height. I'm not gonna riz you about your height or about your looks or like whether you got a chick or not. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna punch you on your shoulder. You're gonna punch me on the shoulder. I'll punch you in the face. You'll punch me in the face. And this is how it works. And like we'll duke it out and then we'll go for a beer, ideally, because
right,
I've seen a lot of
right.
these cases, especially here in the Balkans. But with women, they
Yeah.
they constantly poke and prod each other. They torture each other. A woman in power will give a shit ton of useless paperwork on another woman just to torment her. And the most prominent case that I remember is one time this younger girl, the intern, chubby girl, very like bubbly personality, very lovely, very friendly. She was the only one that was very friendly to me. She came to work very well dressed up, very beautiful, a little bit overweight. And this is the only thing that had against her. But she came in with like, I don't know how much, like 10 centimeters, like 4-inch heels, I think. And they were a little bit uncomfortable. And they sent her on walking errands for the entire day. They wouldn't let her have her lunch properly. Like she sat down to eat. She took off her heels. Her feet were not red. They were fucking purple as to how much it hurt. And these women, like, they come in, let's call her Tina. That's not her name, but like, Tina, I'm going to need you to finish up your lunch very quickly. I'm going to need you to go run back to that office again and take these papers. And the thing is, the way that these offices were set up, the office was, like there were a couple of offices across the road and shit like that. So you need to cross a little, like a 2-lane street
Jesus.
and walk a little bit in order to get to the other places and go to the lawyers' offices, which were, I think, I don't know, 500 feet away of walking through the road, and the sidewalks weren't all that great. This lady came to work with heels, and this is the only day when they tormented her. After a lunch break, because a lot of these women go on smoke breaks, and you're legally permitted to do that, I get up to go in the bathroom, and before I go to the bathroom, I stand at the door frame to get my phone open and to check my phone, right? And I hear them snickering. Oh, that bitch, that fat bitch. I'm going to torment her for the rest of the day. And if she comes in high heels tomorrow, I'm going to do the same thing to her. And this is the most explicit example I have, but I've just seen so many of these things. It doesn't feel like they help each other. And they're like, if you want a definitive proof, read Nora Vincent's book. You know who Nora Vincent is?
No. What is the
God
title?
rest her
I'm
soul.
already
Nora Vincent was she has since passed. I think she committed suicide. It's
Oh,
this New
no.
York lesbian woman that went undercover as a man for about a year and a
Oh,
half, and she went
yeah.
into
Okay.
yeah.
I know.
She
I didn't forget her
she
name, but yeah, that's
explains
sad. That's very
she
sad what happened.
explains female interactions between friends and in the corporate environment better than any man can. And let me tell you, I try to quote her word for word, but it's just really difficult. She says like female friendships are superficial, female claims of support are superficial, and it's really devastating and it's really scary as to how this happens, because they're not genuine friendships.
Yep,
Very few
bro, that
friendships are not genuine. Very few female to female friendships are genuine. Very few.
look, I gotta say something about this. That's a great point. I forgot the person's name, but I do remember that story, which is really I recommend you looking him up. It's Nora Vincent, right?
Yeah.
Fascinating story, and it's really sad that she committed suicide, but, it's, other fa I don't think it did it lead okay, for her suicide, did it lead from the fact of her experience as a man, or it just an amalgamation of
I
other
am not
things?
sure. I am
I
not
think it's
sure.
amalgamation of other things. I don't think it's like it's
Yeah,
one piece of
it
it,
could have
maybe.
been. It could have been.
It could
But like
yeah.
at the end of the day, go ahead, finish your point because I want to make a point for Nora
But
Vincent.
but here's the thing, and maybe for the people who are listening, I wish that people were had some we had some actual active listeners, but the ones who do listen to this conversation, if you're a woman, how many of the women from from since high school are you still friends with? I won't guarantee most of you don't have even contacted the girlfriends from high school. It's very rare for a woman to have still have friends from high school. Now, on the other side, a lot of men, I still have some friends I haven't I talked to on occasion, but I knew them since my high school years. We still keep in touch. But I will guarantee that most women are not loyal when it comes to other women, to be honest. Most. I'm not saying all, but most. And that's just my stance on it.
It's a little bit of a different picture here in the Balkans simply because friend circles are very small and you're going to have to maintain your friendship. But yeah, I know where you're coming from and I see what you say. And in bigger places, if you go up north up to
Very
Belgrade,
nice.
where there's like a 2 million people in a city or maybe more, this does tend to happen. And from all of my female acquaintances and how their friendship circles were and how they are now, I see that whole fractioning, and it's more frequent with women than it is with men. But the thing is, like, my point about Nora Vincent is the same about that lady, that blonde lady that made the red pill documentary, which I really she bastardized the fucking term. No, a red pilled guy is simply a man who hates women, where historically the term wasn't. The term didn't mean that. But anyways, Nora Vincent comes to the same conclusion. It says a male life is a lonely and hard one, a difficult one, and they need our help. And like at the end of the book, she says, "I'm still a lesbian. I love being a woman, but I think I understand what a man is." And men need our love and men need our help. And this is the exact same point that the lady that made the Red Pill documentary said, because she started off as a feminist. And after 18 months of research, she is kind of like she fully understands and I think even supports the MGTOW movement, the whole men going their own way, which is guys that have been screwed over by the court system in the US and like basically North America, I think. They lose access to their children. Sometimes they lose their children completely. There are a couple of cases. They get screwed over if you know if a woman is physically aggressive. And there was an interview with the lady that made the first battered women shelter, and she actually accepted men. And like she said, like women are aggressive as well. That's the woman. I think Prizzy something. She made the
Right.
first battered spouse shelter, and she owns the building, and she's banned from it. She can't go there.
Really?
Yep, simply because she says, like, because in the movie there's a video. I think it was in the late '60s or early '70s, something like that. I don't know. And like, there's testimonies of women, like women, literally British women themselves saying, "Well, I'm violent too." Yeah, and everybody goes, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." You know, they do that as well. But this
Yeah.
might be cherry picking, but
Yeah.
in instances where a woman is hold on, god damn it, I can't, trying to sneeze here, I can't sneeze. Excuse me. In the instance where a woman attacks a man and the man fights back in self-defense as legally permissible, doesn't matter what happens, he goes to jail. And there's a testimony of a guy that the police told him, "We don't care what happens to you. If you lay a finger on her, we're gonna come and arrest you." Of course, this
This
might be an
gets
isolated incident, but you
No,
know.
this gets very confusing, but this gets very confusing now because the whole feminist thing right now because they're advocating for equality, but really, what's equality mean really in reality? Like, what is it
Yeah,
to
but,
be
like,
what you
equality
know?
in what dimensions? Like, I if you
That's what
want
I'm trying to say.
equality, how do you want? How do you want it? Do you want all the men to have their legs chopped off so everybody's the same height?
I
Like,
mean,
what is equality? In
it's a
how
good.
many dimensions do you get equality? Like, I understand, like, equality of opportunity is the only thing that we should be, well, okay, maybe
That's
not
what
the
I
only
stand
one, but,
for.
like,
That's what I stand for. I think we all should be equal, have equal opportunity. That's it. But
yeah,
when it
but,
comes to
like,
like
we also
other
should,
stuff,
like,
I don't
here's the
know.
thing, there is that whole concept, like maybe they do have a point with, but, like, there should be an access to high quality education to everybody because, look,
Yeah.
if you run a country, okay, let's in the hypothetical situation, let's say that you are now the monarch of the Kingdom of Mexico. It's a hypothetical situation. Might be interesting for you, you know, to daydream about it, but I'm painting a different picture. And
Right, right.
you want your country to progress as much as possible. What are you going to invest on? Because look, if you invest in high quality education, you're going to get high earners, and these people will develop, well, they will perfect existing industries. They might come up with new industries.
Right.
Maybe like you're going to invest money in all of the things that make them better. Now, access to quality education is, well, there isn't, like, I think, is quality education accessible for everyone where you are right now?
It has gotten better over the years. My parents' generation was difficult, but it's gotten better. Most of the time in big cities, there's more access. But if you live in small towns, but not as much. Kind of like, yeah. So it's not as widespread compared to the United States when it comes to like education system. But it's gotten better. I would say over the past 30 years.
Yeah, but the thing is there is a difference between a standardized public education and the education that private institutions seem to offer. And the private institution has a proper incentive in order to, oh crap. The private institution has an incentive to give a better product because they're directly getting cash on hand. So they have all of these incentives to provide a much better service in terms of everything because the way that a school is defined in my country is called like it's both education, which we call like we use the verb prosveta, which means enlightenment, but you also have like it's not discipline, but like how to translate. Basically, you teach your children everything. You teach your students everything, meaning like you teach them culture, you teach them etiquette, you teach them all that kind of stuff, which the parents are supposed to be doing, and not all schools offer that. But a private school has a much larger interest in doing that because if they churn out good students, well, they have walking and talking billboards to get more customers, right?
Right.
And this is a big thing. And public schools just don't offer that. But the problem is, many people will see like they'll compare their own children going to public school, and they'll see the rich people's children going to a private school. They kind of seem better and everything, and envy will kick in, and they're gonna go. Well, I want schooling like that for my kid. And I think I told you about that movie from Michael Moore, Where to Invade Next. I think he goes to Finland, and in Finland, apparently they have this thing figured out as to how to give better education for everywhere. Like it's all state-owned schools; they don't have private schools, but the schools seem to be on a much better level than all the other schools, and as a result, grades in Finland are the best globally. I'm not sure if this is true now, but it has been historically for a very long time. So there is an argument to make as to why, like, there are equality in multiple dimensions, not just equality of opportunity, but equality in access to quality education. That might make the same thing. But in what other dimensions of equality do we talk about? Quality
Okay.
of outcome? Like everybody gets the same check. You work your ass off for 8 years, you get a ginormous fucking loan on your back. You work as a doctor. I flip burgers with a high school, well, not even a high school diploma, and at the end of the day, we get the same fucking paycheck.
So that's a little too far. I disagree with the quality of outcome, and that's what a lot of socialist and communistic ideals come from. So I disagree with that. I think it's up. I think I agree with equal opportunity. I believe in meritocracy. Yes, education system, equal access. Sure. So I think so. I would agree that equal opportunity, equal access to education. I don't know. I'm trying to think of another dimension or other pillar. What do you think? Maybe the
Well,
two,
I
but
don't know,
I
but
disagree with outcome.
yeah, the whole problem is I have with outcome. I also don't like the whole idea of of forcing people to hire certain types of people in your company as sort of like quote unquote diversity quotas because every government
Okay.
instituted rule for companies is going to get circumvented. One interesting example is India. I think in maybe this is regional or federal, like all throughout the country of India, because I'm sure it has its own provinces. They have a rule that if you have more than 100 employees, you have to go through certain hoops in order to fire people, right? So there is a disproportionate number of Indian companies that have 99 employees. They do not go over the number of 100 because afterwards there will be subject to these rules. So like this is like it's society showing you that I don't care about these fucking rules. It's you're not going to inflict them. Larry just replied, I don't have my computer set up yet. Still getting everything moved in. Okay, so he hasn't moved in fully. Chuck, can you give me a minute? I need to go help my wife with the kid. I'll be back in 2-3 minutes. Okay,
All right, no
we'll edit
problem.
this out. All right.
Yeah, no worries. Well, since I'm on here, I guess I'll do a little monologue because what we're talking about. I was watching this YouTube video, and it's this professor. I forgot which school. I think it's Penn State. I could be wrong. It's like a sociology class, and they did a great demonstration talking about affirmative action. And I can't speak for a lot of countries, but in the United States. Since the 1970s, I would say, affirmative action has been in use. Well, has been enforced, if you will, to companies. And what affirmative action is to create equality amongst identity. It's not about your ability or merit. No, it's about your identity. And that's where affirmative action stems from because they want everything to be equal for men, for minorities, if you're not white, for example. And I came to realize over the years, and a lot of people would agree with me, that affirmative action is not, how should I say this, tangible in reality. It's not tangible because at the end of the day, companies need results. In order to get results, you need talents and abilities. It doesn't mean your identity doesn't mean shit when it comes to getting results. It's all about your behavior, your merit, your willpower, all that stuff, your character, things that MLK, Martin Luther King, mentioned, and the civil rights movement. We shouldn't focus on people's color or their skin. We should care about their character, right? We shouldn't. What do you say? We shouldn't judge the book by its cover, right? We should judge it by their character. He and the fact that the minorities today are complaining about the fact that there's no equality pretty much dismisses what MLK fought for, which is kind of insane, by the way. Which I totally wholeheartedly agree with what MLK says, by the way. That's how we should live. And I think I mentioned earlier in other conversations, there's this author named, what's his name? His last name is Coleman Hughes. There we go. Smart young man. He wrote a book called Color Blindness. And he's advocating for people to not focus on identity politics too much because, to be honest, identity politics is such a divisive and destructive ideology, especially in the United States. And this is what's causing our country to be divided at this moment. It's becoming more polarized because people are focusing on superficial things instead of the character of a person. And yeah, so he also talked about DEI and affirmative action as being counterintuitive. And he did a talk on TED. Actually, he did a TED talk, and he did that presentation. And apparently, a lot of the people at TED, the employees, were upset about it to the point where they're trying to ban or block his video being published on YouTube, which is kind of insane. And if you want to look up about the whole details, just go on YouTube and type in Coleman Hughes TED Talk, and you'll find out the whole story. So yes, I'm definitely against equal outcome because that's what affirmative action is. It's all about equal outcome. It's not about your character, your skills, your ability to prove yourself because we all have the equal opportunity. Now, when it comes to equal access to education, I think we're trying to perfect it. Right now, President Trump disbanded or not disbanded, but stopped the education of the Department of Education in the United States because it's costing a lot of the money. Maybe they'll probably revamp it. They'll probably restructure it to a more conducive way for people to get educated. But yes, I think affirmative action is such a waste. And an interesting another story about that. Again, because the whole concept was, or the belief is that white people have a majority of the advantages in culture, in American culture. Well, on one side, they kind of do in one sense when it comes to like racial profiling or getting away with crime, if you will, not being a suspect, that type of deal. But when it comes to like being hired at in certain companies and stuff like that, the perception is white people always get more opportunity than minorities. And nowadays, I can't speak for back in the day because I wasn't around. But nowadays, it's I beg to differ. Since affirmative action is the 1970s, a lot of minorities, especially women, are on top of the list when it comes to certain career fields. Like if you're a cop, a police officer, military, you're always going to be put on top of the list because they want to reach their quota of being diversified, right? So again, this is counterintuitive. At the end of the day, if certain companies eventually they have to fire or dismiss the person that was hired through affirmative action because they didn't produce or did not have the results that they wanted. And people don't talk about that actually. And speaking about equal opportunity, which I wholeheartedly agree. Unfortunately, this whole DEI and equal outcome situation, which I totally disagree. I give it an example. If you want to be a firefighter, a police officer, or be in the military, there are two standards. Two standards. one for women, one for men. If you advocate for equal opportunity, which feminism, that's what it means by the definition is equal opportunity, then we should only have one standard. But that's not the case. And again, I'll make another claim that maybe will piss off some people. I personally think women shouldn't be in the military or in the police or firefighting. Now, if you can pass that one standard, hey, you can hold your own weight, all good. But a majority cannot pass that one standard.
Yeah, but
That's what
if you
there's
have
two.
like a 7-foot woman that lifts weights like crazy and she has more muscle mass than many of the dudes, I mean, if she wants to be a fighter, what the hell not? But I agree with the
Yeah,
whole thing about
sure.
a single standard. Yeah, I think that's a
Yes.
reasonable
Oh,
reasonable
I met
request.
hell I met some women man, they could hold their own weight. I'm like, "Cool, alright, fine." But
Yeah.
majority but and again, these are exceptions to the rule, there's always exceptions, so anyways, I went on a little monologue since you were gone, so
No, it's okay. I was wondering. I was going to ask you, did you realize that I was gone? But now
yeah,
that you mention it, yeah.
because
Oh,
I just made a monologue about the whole equal outcome, which I wholeheartedly disagree.
yeah, but the
Again, th
thing is, I
yeah.
think the problem is the message has been regurgitated so many times. But thing is, if you want to discredit somebody, you just call them names. And it's kind of funny how name calling has become so effective these days. I mean, when
Right.
they call you a Nazi and you're immediately dismissed. What the fuck does that even mean? You remember that whole thing like stiff upper lip or sticks and stones or all those things? What happened to that shit? You
Really
called him a
has gone
Nazi.
by the wayside.
Like a lot of people react. There's one of the things that I liked about Trump is he seemed very on like say what you will about him. It's really difficult to listen through his entire speech. At least it is for me. I've never listened through his entire speech, but he is unfazed by all of the shit that's levied against him. And the left make,
Right.
oh, Trump is crumbling because he's so worried about his public image. Meanwhile, they're calling him names on public television, and this guy just brushes them off, doesn't give a flying fuck and just moves on. And this is probably
Yes.
why a lot of people liked him, especially in the first time he ran in 2016. Or was that the second time he ran? I don't know. Maybe he ran for president before. I'm not sure. But like it's what happened with that trade where people just didn't really care about what others said about them. And it's something I would like for most people to get back at because it's really easy to hurt somebody's feelings nowadays. And
Well, about that, that's a great point, and I think the reason why that's people more sensitive. I mean, I don't think it's maybe it could be an excuse because again, I'm not that young. I'm in my 40s, so I'm from a time where, yeah, man, people can say whatever they want. I don't give a shit, right? It's what you believe, what you do. You could be. I think that's why, yes, I agree. A lot of people like Trump. I think I like Trump for that sense. He's impervious to these insults, which is whatever. It's just words. I think the fact that people are more sensitive now because again, it's the social media. It exacerbated the whole feelings thing. Now, it's not the
oh
source
man,
of it,
that's
but
fucking depressing.
it doesn't help though because as soon as you get a dude, we're living in the world where if a man gets accused, not proven, accused that you did something wrong, like rape or whatever, something horrible. You if you just get if any word comes out that there's a proof, your reputation is ruined.
Yeah, but
I
here's
mean,
the
this is
thing.
the
First of all, what is
yeah,
that something horrible? Because I think the boundaries have shifted, and that quote unquote something horrible is calling
right.
somebody the N word on Twitter 9 years ago. And look, I understand that if you've violated another person's bodily autonomy and you've engaged in sexual exploitation, such things are horrible and they have been historically horrible. Nobody wants that to happen to them. But I think we've moved the goalpost of what is a horrible crime just by calling somebody like an a-hole on Twitter 7 or 8 years ago. Now this is like it's considered something really serious. This is why you have terms like silence is violence and words are violence. No, they're not. There's a clear legal definition as to what violence is, and it's usually either screaming at somebody, which I don't think it is, or like actually using physical means against somebody, like using your fists or your legs or God forbid a weapon. But like one
Uh,
of the thing is that bothers me that the
yeah.
goalpost has been moved. But another thing is that, and this is the consequence of the internet, because look, there was that whole thing. I've heard this a lot of times on the news, which it's a I think it's a staple of Western society. It doesn't really happen here. because small town mentality. But there is that whole thing of innocent until proven guilty, and I think that it's a wonderful thing, and I think that message needs to be parroted. And I think I know I'm all for free journalism, but I really think that the government ought to mandate, and I'm going against my principles here, to mandate to the news stations, the CNN and Fox News and all these other places on both aisles, on all sides of the spectrum, to tell them that they need to preface their news with innocent until proven guilty.
Oh,
Here's
my
what
friend.
happens.
Oh, go ahead.
What's up? No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I don't wanna go on a segue because I wanna segue into the P. Diddy case, but finish your thought. I don't wanna lose your
No,
train of
but
thought.
like here is my beef with it.
Right.
We're far more connected and we're more tech literate now than we've ever been before, although
Mhm.
that is decreasing. But the sad reality is simply because people are connected right now, more collective influence over somebody. So for example, let's say I am wrongfully accused of violating somebody's bodily autonomy. I know I didn't do it, and mothers know that I didn't. Like, especially, let's say my wife knows I haven't done it because on the day that claim was made against me, me and my wife were abroad with the kid. Let's say I have a solid alibi for this and many other things, and we work in a video surveillance office, and nothing ever escapes anybody. So I know, without a shadow of a doubt, I know that I'm not guilty. My wife knows, and my boss knows that I'm not guilty. But some lady made a claim against me that I've violated her bodily autonomy. Simply because of the sheer volume of people that have access to it. It's going to go on the news, and we know journos nowadays are not really up to snuff. They're assholes. It's a lot of copy paste. It's a lot of Resavska Szkola, as we like to call it. My image is going to be tarnished within a matter of hours. So if the news is published at 8 p.m. at night, by 8 p.m. a.m. the next day, there's going to be so many articles about me that my reputation is going to be tarnished, and these people will collectively begin to target my company. And my employer knows without a shadow of a doubt, based on the surveillance and based on my wife's testimony and on everybody else, that I haven't done it. Okay, he has a 99% certainty that I haven't done it, but he's going to be put in a corner, and he himself is going to be targeted. And the thing is, from a business owner's perspective, this guy doesn't have just himself to take care of. He has all of these people that he employs, and these people depend upon him for their daily bread and butter. And in order not to risk everybody else's future, he's going to have to fire me.
Yeah. Yeah. It ruins your career, bro.
Yeah,
It
but it
ruins your
ruins
career.
businesses as well. And I
Right.
remember there was a British scientist who liked to play with thermal cameras or some shit like that. I don't know. He made really good videos a long time ago, and there was some sort of some meager attack against him, and they started calling his the lab where he worked or the office where he worked. They tried to get him fired. There was a collective campaign of both character assassination and try to get this guy's livelihood out of his trying to get him out of a job, basically, and try to ruin his YouTube channel as well. I think he's still on, but he doesn't have a following as much as he did back then, simply because of what happened. And
You know?
like I'll
Yeah.
reiterate my point that like it should remain as innocent until proven guilty. Now let's segue into the Diddy case, because I'm not following that.
Before I get into that, let me make one thing about that, and let's talk about the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement, with I think this happened the past 10 years, right? 15 years. This demonstrates the fact that people can use a black this is kinda like blackmail in a weird way, right?
Mm,
I wish there was a law that says, "Hey, if you make a false accusation and you were proven, if the person the accused was proven innocent, and you made that false accusation, you have to be penalized for it." Kinda like perjury. Kinda like
yeah.
perjury. You know what I'm saying? If there's a law, which I don't think there is, and this is why this is happening, if you make a false accusation and you were demonstrably and the accuser was demonstrably proven innocent, you got to face some consequences, yo. And there are several stories of men being destroyed over a woman making false accusations. Now, I'm not saying this is 100% of the time, but a good percentage does this. You know Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Yeah.
Okay, if you watch Cosmos, which is a great show, by the way, he did 2 seasons. Between
I
this,
kind of
the
refuse to do it. I kind of refuse to do it. Sorry.
Yeah. Before he did the 2nd season, the 2nd season was delayed because he was falsely accused of some woman saying, "Oh, she got, assaulted, sexual assaulted." We come to find out the whole story that he just wanted to see her tattoo. She said, "Look at my tattoo." and he touched her arm. That right there, she said, "Oh, he assaulted me." This fat,
Oh
old, ugly lady.
God.
Like, this is disgusting, bro. Like this. Now, I'm not, and this is a famous guy, and they almost delayed his whole career. Almost fucked him up. So yeah, I'm not gonna say all men are angels. I'm not saying that, but for the men that are, dude, the one that was really it's never get out of my mind. I think the whole world watched this. The
Mhm.
Johnny Depp case. Jesus, man. If you watch that one, you get to see how dangerous this could be. So all I'm saying is we have to be careful on what we accuse people of, and you have to be doubly sure that you can prove this person to be guilty. Women or men, right? So now, okay, let's go to the P Diddy case. So apparently, from initially, we thought this guy was a complete monster. You come to find out he's just a sexual degenerate. So recently, there has been I mean, 4 counts that are originally. I think it was like 5 or 6 counts originally. One was arson. The second one was the RICO case about kidnapping, drug distribution, right? Like all
Mhm.
these charges: drug distribution, kidnapping, arson, and of course the big one was human trafficking, right? We
Oh,
come to find out that none of this shit was true. The only thing that's really close to it was the fact that the women he slept with hired gigolos, male prostitutes in different states, and that I don't know if you call that human trafficking. Maybe you could prove that in court, but it looks like it's not going to even be that. So it looks like he might face 10, 20 years maximum. But knowing P. Diddy and he never been priorly convicted, he's probably gonna get
yeah.
off. He might get off. Maybe you do 5, 10 years at the most, I think. And by the way, this is a federal case. You can't do half time because usually in like if it's a state case, they cut like your time in half because overpopulation in prisons. But if you're in a federal prison, you have to serve like whatever they say it has to be the full time. So we'll see how much time they'll give him. I don't think I'll be shocked if you give him 20 years. People thought they're going to lock him away up for life, and people thought that he was a complete monster. So apparently, we just come to find out that these women who said they were the victims, they were part of it, and they liked it. They
Well,
tried
of
their
course they
very
fucking like that.
yeah, they tried. I think there was like four. I think I don't know. Get me wrong. I don't know the exact details because I don't follow it thoroughly. But I know his ex girlfriend, Casey, the singer, right? She's the one that
Mm.
was the original person that accused P Diddy for like doing all this horrible, heinous crimes. She was in on it. She loved it, and she was with this guy for over 10 years. She could have left this guy so many times, even the other women as well. Yes, he's abusive. That's the thing they're going to get on him is being abusive. I mean, I'm saying he does, he does hit women and shit, which I disrespect wholeheartedly. And he's just he's just a sexual degenerate. He's a weirdo. So again, he's probably going to face 5, 10 years for that when it comes to like domestic violence or some shit. But other than that, bro, all the stuff that they try to prove, the defense for P Diddy did an amazing job. Put it that way. So it just comes to show that the women that play the victim card again. This is what I look like. I looked at the facts about this, and it looks like it was more like blackmail because they could have easily talked about
Yeah.
this a long time ago, and this happened like back in 2013, 2015, like more than 10 years ago. And now you want to bring it up? Oh, since one, and here's the other thing too, which is really annoying. Casey says, "Oh, because I'm going to accuse you, not all the women are going to speak up." That's just what happens. And by the way, this is a criminal case, a RICO Act, and he's also going to have civil lawsuits. And we're talking about 70 lawsuits. Apparently, I heard about on social media. 70 cases, bro. That's gonna. He's gonna be the rest of his life. He's gonna be poor. He's either gonna come up civilly. So I don't know. It's a fucking mess. But I don't know. I'm just saying
Here's a
that. Yeah, go
here's a
ahead.
question I have.
Sure.
When you say like P Diddy is a sexual degenerate and everything, like here's a question because
Right.
if you were in that, okay, maybe not in that position, but if you had access to that, because this guy's probably swimming in money. He has oil instead of yogurt for breakfast or orange juice, you know.
Right. Right.
How would you be able to resist the urge of doing what
Temptation.
he does? Because
Oh,
here's the
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Of course.
This guy has women throwing themselves at him.
Right. Correct. 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 Correct.
Yeah. You remember the whole Tiger Woods thing?
Yeah. Apparently, he got a
So
divorce with his
like
original wife, or something like that.
yeah, but the thing is, apparently he had an affair with one woman, and then a bunch of women that you can fill a bus with came out about everything. Because, like, To be a little to be an a-hole for a while, I don't think golf is a sport. I think it's a game, it's an activity, but it's not a sport
It's a
because it doesn't have
hobby.
a proper. Yeah, sure, but the thing is, like,
Uh,
it has its own benefits because it's a networking sport, right? If you go on golf, you're gonna meet
right,
players. You're gonna meet high
right.
players. You're not gonna meet Joe from the steel factory. You're gonna meet
High
Joe from the hedge
rollers.
fund. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're gonna
that's
meet high
right.
rollers. So I do appreciate it like that. I'm not in that position, and if there is a necessity, fuck it, I'll learn it as well. Although I don't think I'll ever reach there. But even like this guy was at the top of his fucking game, right?
Right.
Of
Right.
course, he's gonna have women throw themselves at him, and
Yes, notice.
like you know who Dan Bilzerian is?
Yeah, of course.
The
Billionaire.
guy that looks like a Chad and has yachts filled with women.
Right,
Like,
yes,
he
I know
does it
exactly
out
what
on
it
the
is.
open,
Right.
but, like, there are so many men that have gone through, that have received such a lot of attention. I'm just wondering how many men would be able to resist that? Because sooner or later, everybody cracks. I mean, like, I'm not talking about people that are in, like, regular Joes, like, John and JQ Public people that, they get married, and after a while, I don't know, after 5 years, he becomes a manager, he has, like, a young secretary flirt with him. I'm not talking about cases like that. I'm talking about people in positions of influence, kinda like P. Diddy, kinda like Dan Bilzerian, or other people that have different women throw themselves at these people, probably if not on a daily, then on a weekly basis.
No, I follow what you're saying. I definitely follow what you're saying. Eventually, that whole thing wears off, and we have to find something more kinky. I get it, man, and that's and
Well,
and that's the thing, though. Oh, go ahead.
Well, yeah, well, like that's the thing. He's been labeled as a degenerate simply because he's gone through the vanilla so many times. It's repetitive and it's boring. He's gonna have to do some other. This is why he's hosted orgies, and this is why he has a fuck ton of dildos and what was it, like baby oil or lubricant or whatever. I don't fucking know. But is it because like how would you be able to resist the urge to go down his path?
I could definitely see where he's coming from, yeah, but that's where you have to be responsible. I know, man, and that's why we kept it under wraps for so long, by the way, and for that reason, because you don't want this to get out, but eventually the women got pissed off about it, and eventually said, "No, I'm gonna come out and blackmail this dude. I'm gonna just sue his ass or take him to court," right? After a while, you know? It's really fucked up, and I think deep down he thought that nothing of this would ever come out, but now they made a big spoof of it, and by the way, the prosecutors, the government, were 6 women that
Oh,
took
great.
the whole case. So I'm like, "Oh, that makes a lot of sense." Bro, you will never see in a federal court case 6, what do you call them? ASAUs?
I
And there
don't know what
were
that is.
fucking attorney generals of the city were when 6 of them, not usually it's 2, but there were 6 of them, you know what I'm saying? And they're all ASAUs, attorney generals of the city and someone I think for the state, I could be wrong. Like, they went after his ass, and this is because it's the federal case, you know? So, I was like, "This is unheard of." You never ever see anything like this. Then you come to find out, oh, they're just trying to, make him look really bad for what it really isn't. This whole case proved that unfortunately, when men in power, they have a lot of status, and women like men with status. That's just reality. And after a while, he goes, "Nope, you're not going to be for me because I have all the like." Why would a man with that much status settle for one woman? Most men, most straight men, wants multiple women. That's just reality. Now, of course, there's men that have some semblance and have constraint, if you will, right? But most people aren't like that. Most the people that do that are devout Christians or devout whatever in the religion, which I respect. But most men aren't like that. So that's what this case proved. Honestly, it just proved female nature. Women like men with status. They will not have any rules for this type of man to the point where this type of man will abuse them for so many years, and they still come back.
Oh, good God.
You
My
know what I'm
last
saying?
Macedonian I had, like, my
Yeah.
last Macedonian girlfriend's friend. She was in an abusive relationship for years, I think 6 years. They kept separating, and she kept going back to the guy.
Yeah. When I was young, I never understood that, but now I get it because now I'm more. I mean, I live in the real world. I just know how women are now. But when as a kid, I'm like, why don't you just leave? But I was very naive when I was younger. But now it makes a lot of sense. So, anyways, It's, that's what this case proven, by the way, and,
Anyways,
yeah, so yeah,
I
mhm,
told you I'm reading the emotional intelligence book, and I gotta
sure.
say it's bull. It's bull. I
Yeah, yeah,
mean,
what are your thoughts on that? Yeah, what's your
well,
thoughts?
here's the thing. It outlines
Yeah,
a couple of examples of how emotions, like, what you and I mentioned, emotional maturity or self-control or shit like that might play a key role in outcomes of certain things, but there isn't, like, even the guy himself very early on in the second chapter, he says something of the sort, like, there is no standardized way to look at this, and there might never ever be a standardized way of looking at it. This guy is just using cherry-picked data to prove some of his points with highly anecdotal examples of how emotions can be relevant sometimes, because I think this has been said multiple times that IQ is not really a determiner, like an effective determiner of outcome in life, because, like, he gives an example of, like, a lot of 150 IQ people work, or people that have 100 IQ, but these people that have a 100 IQ, they might not excel in academia, but that they excel in social aspects. So they're better at negotiating, and they're better at this, that, and the other. And in order for you to excel in socialization, you require quote unquote emotional intelligence. What that means is you got to learn the social culture of a society. You have to learn the social business culture of a society. You have to learn conflict resolution and all these things. Basically, I've mentioned these things before in some of the Hello Talk voice rooms. I don't think you and I have spoken about this, but it's not anything that we discussed on the tandem voice room about what emotional intelligence is. It's just an amalgamation of thinly connected things that, in the certain examples that were given in the book, seem to make sense. Like, a guy that had a part of his brain removed, lost the determination. Like, he lost his what is that thing? Oh, geez, the word escapes me. I've been thinking about this word for a while. You know, that thing where, initiative. Right, right. The guy had a part of his brain removed, and he lost his initiative. He didn't really want to get up and do stuff. Some other guy, simply because of brain problems, didn't really want to finish a project. He will keep pondering over things for the longest time, and somehow this guy correlates all of these examples with all of these aspects of emotional intelligence. And there's that thing, like, for you being in the zone. What
right,
when you
right.
love what you do, you get in the zone, and, like, negative feedback
Mhm.
doesn't really affect you. You just keep going. He doesn't really explain how one gets into the zone. He just mentions it. He dedicates an entire subchapter of it, just mentions it. But, like, I don't know. It's like a jumbled up mess of
Mhm.
things that might make sense, well, to women.
Well, can I ask, did he mention anything about the workplace with this? Because
No,
I think
no, no, no. Like, he mentions early on, he opens up with a quote from Aristotle, and I was teasing Kobe about it. Well, go ahead and disprove him now. He's quoting Aristotle.
oh,
Like,
shit.
Aristotle says something like, it's easy to be upset with somebody, but it's really hard to be upset at somebody at the right time with the right intensity for the right reason. Something of that sort. I think that was the gist of the quote. And it is right. And he starts out with an example about how, like, a New York bus tour guide cheers everybody up with his really positive attitude, because people get on the bus very groggy and very upset, but they leave the bus cheerful. And this is a guy that has positive influence on people, but simply because this is his job. And the guy does make the case, which is something that we've talked about repeatedly, is how the amount of emotional stability and emotional maturity is decreasing all throughout the populace. And I think, the internet is part to blame for that. But he may simply blankly states, well, schools need to teach this. How? Don't look at me. How? I don't know. What we're supposed to teach them? I don't know. Some techniques, maybe. He puts it in that gist, and it's really annoying. I think, like, historically, all of these things were taught by parents. You were taught these things by, like, in your household, and with the advent of 9 to 5 and people going remotely to work, they don't work at home on the farm. They work somewhere far in the office, and the father is not around. The mother is, nowadays, like, even the mother is not around. these things are
Right.
outsourced to the school, and the school is left teaching children bullshit. I have a saying. I'm not sure how many people will agree with this, but I'd like if you want somebody to start hating something, put it in a school curriculum.
Oh, dude, hear me out. You know what? Man, this popped in my memory. So, and when I was in high school, I had this history. By the way, history sucks in school. By the way, it's horrible. They don't know how to teach history in schools. So I had this history teacher, right? I think he went to Stanford at the time, and he got hired on because he has this new way of teaching. And apparently, what we had to do in the first 10 minutes of class, every class, we had to take this survey on how you feel.
How
Yes.
you feel? Why?
Yes. Yes. I forgot the exact questions. There was like 20 questions. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? Every fucking day. Like, how do you feel now? How do you feel now? It was like, bro, am I like it's like, what does this have to do with history? And I felt like, and I felt like a guinea pig. I'm like, what the fuck? I really hated this teacher because we didn't learn anything about history. All he did was he gave us this packet, which most kids, I don't know if they do now, maybe back then, they give you this packet of fill in the blank of facts about history. He never really taught. He just he fill out this packet and he gave the whole hour to finish it. That's how it was. That's how most of history was, to be honest. Maybe there was this one history teacher we actually talked about a certain thing, certain topics, and we had to write and we had discussions. That one was pretty rare. That was all right. The majority of the time is complete bullshit, bro. Yeah, well, how I feel? Like, what does this have to do with school? And I
Or
felt
what does
like
it
we
have to
were
do with
being like,
fucking history?
yeah, it's in general, like, I felt like I was a test subject for a psychology class, or like a psychologist, you know? So what the fuck is this? It's really dumb, and as a kid, I realized this is complete bullshit.
Now I don't
Yeah,
know.
so
I
I
have
yeah,
I have a I have
mhm.
a I have a hard on for well, I don't think that's the proper term, but I have a big beef with all of this standardized education. And it really bugs the shit out of me because for some time I was
Uh,
part of the industry and I do not like the way it operates, both the public sector and the private sector. And it's very result oriented, and in certain places there is this exam culture where you're supposed to study in order to pass the exam, not to understand anything. I mean, for most of the things that I'm doing right now, for everything that I've done, I learned it by myself. I never took I mean, I haven't
and
really taken a course for the things that I'm doing. I didn't have really access to books, and by the time like at the time that I was reading these things, I was actually intimidated by books. You get a textbook 3D design and it's like 1,200 pages, and I'm like, no, I'm not touching this. So I would watch either
the
like text written tutorials, or
mhm,
after a while finally the YouTube tutorials came out, which like the video tutorials, which was really rare when I was learning these things, and we didn't have access to internet because third world shithole and all of that. But
mhm,
all of the stuff that I learned and all of the stuff that I'm using to make my bread and butter, I learned by myself. I'm not using any of the skills that I learned in school, which is really
right.
sad because I spent 16 years
Have you heard
in
of Aaron
inside a heard of what?
have you heard of Aaron Clary? He's very good. Aaron Clary.
No, can you
It's
type
like
that name
he's
up?
he I yeah, I'll send it to you. Yeah, has a YouTube channel, and he talks about the stuff we're talking about, to be honest, as far as, like, how to be a man today, and he wrote this book that I'm reading right now. The book is titled How Not to Be a Millennial.
Oh dear God. Okay, well I can look that
Yeah,
book up.
I'll send it. I've shared it in the, book club in my server. I'll write his name, Aaron Clary. Yeah, he just like, he's a guy our age and just giving advice to men in their 20s, which is fantastic. I think what's happening is, both of us agree what's happening, right? I
I'm
can't
looking
speak
at
for
some
them.
guy called Vince Barrick.
Well, yeah, he co-authored that. I think it's the other author's Vince Barrick, I believe.
And what
It's
is
like
the
a
name of this guy that you're
I sent him to Aaron Clary.
Okay. For some
I
reason the
sent
chat is not loading. The
I, I
hell?
s- I sent you a DM.
Yeah. I'm looking at it, but your chat is not loading. The
Whoops.
heck?
All right, I'll telegram it. I'll telegram it.
No. Figure something. Hey, by the way, I just got word. Kobe got a job.
I thought he was working.
Well, no, Aaron Claire. Okay, I got it. I saw it on my phone. No. He got out of the wherever he was working before, and they told him
Oh,
like,
okay.
if
Oh,
you want to
good.
get your disability, you're not supposed to get a job. I think that period passed. I think he got a job recently because I haven't been seeing him much online lately.
Oh, good for him. Good. That's good to hear. I
Well,
forgot. I
let's
didn't really know
find
his
this Aaron
situation.
Clary YouTuber, huh?
Yeah, yeah. He's pretty good. Yeah, he has a lot of good stuff. Because I'm not, dude. I wasn't alone my thoughts. Like, am I crazy here? And then when he talks about a lot of very productive things. I think for all of us that you and I are talking about. Like, be productive, learn for yourself. You really don't have to take ridiculous ass like that's what he says too, and I agree. You don't have to go to if you're gonna go to university, take something that's tangible, like in the STEM fields, or you need a laboratory. You could create shit. You innovate things. Go to college for that. But don't go to college for like history or business.
You
Maybe a
realize a
maybe a
lot of people go to college because their parents tell them?
Yeah, exactly, and that was my generation, bro. You could be like you can major with every like, that's the thing, this is the shit that Aaron Killer also talks about, which I totally agree. He goes and he goes, "I remember they told us when I was in high school, you could major in anything you want to do. Focus on your passion."
Yeah, just
I mean,
believe in yourself.
you could do that, but not in university will give you the answer for that. You could find it what they could have said was, excuse me, university is not the only answer. You could find your path or your passion in other forms. They could have said that. But back then, there was an agenda for people to sign up to colleges because it's a business. It's the bureaucracy behind it. So, I mean, I went to school for engineering. I just said, fuck that. I don't see myself doing it. Dropped out. Best decision of my life. Joined the military. Great decision. I had actual tangible real life experience. I actually lived out on my own. I wasn't one of those millennials that live up to their 30s and shit, and I have like a real life. You know what I'm saying? I actually had a job. I actually lived overseas. I actually learned IT. At least I had some skill, right, to be a
When did
man.
you start working for the first time? When was your first job?
Oh, I was 15. I took, for school, I had to take what was this thing called? It was like some sort of form where it allowed you to work at 15. I had to go to the school to get that, like a permit slip. Forget the name of it. But yeah, I started working at 15. I used to work at like a community center. I used to be a referee on the weekends. So I used to do like a sports league type of deal. That was
Oh,
kind of
that's
cool. You know
very
what I'm saying?
nice. That's very nice. That's actually something that I'm envious of. That's very nice. Have I told you the story about how I started working?
Well, you told me that your mother forced you to go to
Oh,
as an
no, no,
intern,
no.
right?
That was much later. I started working in grade 7.
Oh, damn. I'm jealous about that. What would you do?
Here's the thing. My father for the longest time, and like my mother really tried to spoil me, but my father was the counter to that. When my father would freak me out, like you have to work. I'll kick you out if you don't work. And of
I,
course,
I respect him for
none
that.
of that came to fruition. But the thing is, he was there to instill a little bit of fear in me. But the thing is, I naturally gravitated to work, and it happened really spontaneously. However, my father still rizzes me about that because my father started working in grade 5 and I started working in grade 7, and he still gives me shit about that every once in a while.
Uh,
He like to slithers it in the conversation. Is like, and I go, you had to go there, didn't you? But the thing
yeah.
is, I fell in love with computers very early on as soon as I saw them, and I had an edge over everybody in my immediate surroundings and my peers that my English was better than everybody else. And the thing is, like most of the computers, like after a certain point in the XP era, everything was pretty self-explanatory. You just had to read the instructions on the screen and get shit done. And I started going to friends' houses and reinstalling their Windows at around grade 5 and grade 6. And by the time grade 7 came about, I started going into these cyber cafes and fixing their computers, fixing their network. These were all like this is all pirated software. There wasn't any tech support. There wasn't anything like that. But I started working on pretty early in cyber cafes, and after a while, I started getting house calls like, "Come to my place, fix this. Go to this company, fix that." My mother knew everybody in town, so I will actually go to what are called
Mm,
state-owned companies like
okay.
the green
SOEs.
vegetable market. The green vegetable market in our town was a state-owned company, right?
Okay.
And my father knew people there, my mother knew people there. So whenever they had a problem, I was sent there. Sometimes I was picked up with a
Mm,
car, with a like, municipality office vehicle. It would take me there. Now, of course, I
mm.
came in free. The thing is, I came in free. Well, no, no, no. Here's when they take you to these state-owned companies, they don't pay me because legally they cannot. However, I didn't mind that because my parents would reward me because now they owe my parents favors. So it's a
Okay.
win-win, right? My
Okay.
my
Okay.
parents would reward me. However,
Yeah.
my
Reputation.
s-
It's good.
my
Yes.
town and my culture operates on word of mouth.
Right. Right.
And these guys, when they're not CEOs, they're just directors, no three here. When the director of the state-owned company says, "I know this kid who can fix your computer for dirt cheap," that's the good thing. Like there were these times, like somebody would appear at our door and go, "Hey, does Mario live here?" My mother would fucking freak out. "Who are you?" And he goes, "Look, well, this guy told us he can fix her computer." And I just go out, they come in with a moped. They pick me up. I go to their house. They give me food. They give me like cookies and shit. I fix their machine. Talk a little bit of politics. They give me, some pocket change, and they drive me back home. And I get to spend the
So
afternoon doing what I like, and I get some money in my pocket. And I think it was
you
pretty
were like,
effective.
wait, 7th grade, that's like 11, 12 years old, right? I'm trying to figure out the age.
12 and a half, 12 and a, like 12, 13,
Okay.
around that.
Okay, okay. That's really good. That's great experience, man. That's
It
great
is
for a
great experience.
12-year-old.
I was ridiculed
Yeah.
for it. I was ridiculed. I remember this one guy. Guess what he's doing
Who?
now? I was ridiculed by this guy. I was leaving a cyber cafe, and he comes up to my face. He's surrounded by like 4 or 5 girls, and he lifts weights, and his shoulders are bigger than his head. He goes, "Hey Mario, what are you doing? Are you like fixing games? Are you changing game skins? Well, you want to play a game of Counter Strike with me?" Oh, and the guy's a fucking DJ now.
That's what he does?
Yeah. Have you seen that image? Like the future. I don't know, like the future in 2020. Let me find that fucking meme. It's hilarious. There's like
Yeah.
a woman crying, say,
Yeah.
"Help! My husband needs help!" And like 5 or 6 people say, "Sorry, I can't help you. I'm a DJ." "No, sorry, I can't help you. I'm a DJ."
Oh, no, no, I don't remember that one, but that's kinda funny.
No, that's my. Oh, there it is. There
What
it is. The year
wait,
2030.
that's okay. I don't recall that one. Wait,
Oh,
so that's what it
I fucking
yeah.
love this one. It just goes to show,
Wait, that's all he does? That's his full-time job? DJ?
I think so. I haven't really fucking checked
Okay.
his social media. I don't think does anything potential. I sent it to you on Telegram.
Okay.
It's a Facebook link. Do you have Facebook, or do I just copy the image? Let me just copy the image. Where
I don't
is
really use
it?
Facebook. I should be using Facebook to,
Nah,
pro I should use
you'll
it for promoting
survive.
no, I need to use it for, like, company purposes, like, to get my own students. Maybe I should start doing that. 2030. Oh, that's hilarious. I've never seen this. "Help me, I need a
Yeah.
doctor. I'm a
Help!
DJ." "Me
Is anyone
too,
of
me
you a
too, me
doctor?
too."
I'm a
That's
DJ.
fu
Me too. I'm also a DJ. The
I
same
mean,
for
that's what's gonna
me.
happen. Bro, that's what's happening. This is a great name. Oh, that's what's happening, bro, 'cause a lot of people are not, majoring or getting any skill sets for actual needed skills. Like, we need more doctors, by the way. That's a
Oh,
shortage.
geez, you couldn't have said a truer statement for life. Here,
Oh,
the people that are graduating for doctors are going to work abroad. My country is collectively short-staffed for
wow.
medical.
That's crazy, bro.
It
That's
is
crazy.
insane.
What about nurse? Because the nursing I know that for some reason, the stereotypes of, the Philippines, that's where all the nurses are from. But,
No, like we don't get them here. This is not a high-income
I know.
country for them to be attractive
Yeah,
here. But
I'm joking, I'm joking.
well,
Yeah,
who the
I
hell
mean, we
knows?
gotta
It might fucking
yeah,
happen. But
yeah, we need to outsource, but I think people are outsourcing because, yeah, like, people are focusing on the wrong shit. I think again, this is the whole and that book, Not to Be a Millennial, and he made a great point. It's a social experiment gone wrong, to be honest. Our generation, millennials, definitely, because 'cause you've been programmed to do, "Oh, you do whatever you want. You don't need a tangible skill. You can do whatever you want." Dude, that's the most destructive thing you could tell a young
a
person.
lot of fucking like emotionally
Yeah.
based arguments are popping up left and right, and it's ruining the society.
Right.
Remember in the book that we read together on Hello Talk, The Vision of the Anointed?
Right.
I'm not sure if we reached that one, but there's a part where it's like how you penalize criminals. Historically, it has
Mhm.
been, and apparently it has worked because it brought us to civilization. We're going downhill ever since. You see a guy who does a crime, and you
Mhm.
let him do the time. You give him a penalty for that. You send him to jail. You
Mhm.
ostracize him from society, and you do
Mm.
this, that, and the other. But somebody somewhere had the retarded idea. I was going to say brilliant idea, but it's all but brilliant. You're
Mhm.
supposed to consider his background and his environment, and he must have had a hard life. So it's not him that did the
No.
crime. It's society that made him do the crime. And all of this escalated. Like it got worse over the years. And I'm sure there's
Mm.
somebody wrote a book about this, which I'd love to read. But all of this culminated into the whole: if you steal less than $500, or if you steal less than a
Oh,
thousand
yeah.
dollars from a
Yes.
from a shop somewhere, it's not considered a crime.
Yes, yes, and look at the lawlessness that's happening in the West Coast of the United States, Oregon, Portland,
But
a lot of
look
the
at
big
fucking
cities.
Rikers, right? What's happening? What happened during COVID with Rikers on the street?
Mhm.
Basically, a guy bursts into a store, steals something. He calls the police, and as they're taking him away, I think he starts yelling, "They'll let me out. I'll come back. They'll let me out." They let him out
That's
18 hours later. He comes
It's
back, and I
true.
think he kills the shop owner. I think this is 2021, 2022. But they were like they were sending people to Rikers Island, and they were letting them go, and they were basically just wasting people's money in transport and logistics, and wasting the police's time because the judges let them go.
No, it's ridiculous, man. This whole concept of soft on crime is the most dumbest thing you could ever hear of. That's where if you San Francisco, by the way, if you have a car, which I will never live there, but it's cool to visit, but living there is a problem because there's a lot of thievery and homelessness, right? So with the I think Kamala Harris was involved with this bullshit. I think at the time she was like the attorney general of the city, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. But she goes, or some of the officials said, "Oh, just roll down your windows when you park your car and don't have anything valuable. That's the best we can do. Just roll down your windows."
Well, this is what they're
Really?
doing in Canada. This is what they're doing in Canada and New York. There's a lot of a lot of stuff, a lot of car theft going on, and the
Yes.
police department is recommending you leave your key fobs at the door, so when the thieves break in, they don't have to go through your house.
Incredible, dude.
Yep. Leave your
Incredible.
key fobs at the. I gotta find the news article. Well, I don't know who sent it to me.
Bro, what clown world are we living in? I would have never imagined as a kid. 20 years later, you'll say, "Oh yeah, in the future they're not going to care about crime. They're not going to care. They're going to care about you. If your car is stolen, so be it." Like what the fuck, man? What kind of message are you sending to the public? It's insane. But again, this is only certain places in the United States. You said this is in Canada. Yeah, I
No, no,
mean,
no. New York State. New York State.
oh,
This is
well,
New
in New
York
York
State as
State,
well.
it's another blue. Oh, okay, let me clarify. Blue states are doing this stupid shit. Okay,
Okay,
I'll
there's
guarantee you this is not going to happen
I
in other
found a
states.
Reddit link, but for some reason it won't fucking
Yeah,
load. Can you read this out? Let me send it to you. Try and read it out.
sure. I'm intrigued now. This is
I
incredible.
send it to you on what the fuck's going on with it?
Tandem?
Can you hear me? What is going on with my
No,
fucking
you're
internet?
fine. You're fine. I can hear you. Okay, so
Son of a bitch.
it's a Reddit post, right? Okay.
Well, the Reddit post has the news article. I bet.
Okay, I'm opening it
Try
right
and open this
now.
shit
I'm
from my
opening it.
phone.
Okay,
My
leave your so
fuck.
it's from City News Everywhere. Leave keys at front door to avoid violent confrontations with the thieves. Toronto police. Toronto
How
police are facing
fucking insane
backlash.
is that?
Yeah, this
Go
is
ahead, read it.
crazy. Well, so this is in published in March 14, 2024. It's pretty recent. So Toronto police are facing backlash after telling vehicle owners who have their keys fobs in a Faraday pouch to leave them near the door. Why police say the move will prevent contact with their car thieves. What the hell? I'm not gonna read the full article, but we could probably, you know what? You know what's interesting, bro? We should post these articles where we talk about. We should post it in the description and on YouTube. So people could follow and look it up themselves.
Yeah, I guess
But I'm
we'll
like,
provide a we gotta look into that to provide a comprehensive like list of all the links and all the people that we've mentioned, along
yeah,
with
I'll
all the
gladly.
topics we've discussed and shit. But we'll get to it later.
Yeah, so and Kalinsky said police who also delivered a pamphlet with tips to prevent vehicle thefts, including investing in alarm systems, security cameras, monitor sensor lights, and avoiding posting vacation plans on social media. While she said that she appreciates the advice, she's hoping police can take more proactive approach to the issue. Yeah, no shit. Quote, I'm glad they are taking initiative, but in terms of what I'd like to see done is at least in high risk area maybe more patrols. Yo,
Oh
I mean, how
God.
bad is it? I mean, what's going on? Is there a shortage of police officers? I know San Francisco, they're trying to hire
No,
more.
no, it's all of this defund the police. It's the
Oh my
criminal
god, dude.
it's the criminal element parroting the message online that the police are violent, and it's that whole hashtag defund the police bullshit, which is going on right
Yeah.
now with the new mayor of New York. I don't think he's voted in
Zohan?
yet.
Zohan or Zoran?
Yeah,
What's his name?
yes. Yeah, whatever the fucking name is. I think he said like
Ay,
new
ay.
safety programs without the police Something like that. I don't fucking know. But he's turning New York City into Liberty City from GTA.
Dude, it's just incredible. Like, I'm not I mean, he's for socialist programs, which is incredible. Like, look, man, this is a capitalistic country. If you wanna promote socialism, do it somewhere else, man. If I was a New Yorker, I'd be pissed off. When it comes to the policies, most definitely, I won't be, too enthralled. Dude,
No,
I know
no.
this for a
No, no,
fact.
no. No. They fucking voted him in. They fucking voted him in.
Oh,
It's their own
I know,
fucking fault.
it's yeah, they reap what they sow. They will reap what they sow, because in San Francisco, we've been having these type of, like, politically correct, super progressive type of ideas. It's not working, my friends. It's not. Like, the whole concept, the reason why, the San Francisco has a bad rep, even though majority of the city is a beautiful city, don't get me wrong, please visit San Francisco, but there's certain districts within the city which is complete trash. It's horrendous. It's zombie land. And you wonder, and for the people who are visiting, you probably most of them will be asking, how did this happen? Well, let me tell you how it happened. The whole point of the reason why most people are outside on the streets of downtown and this district called Tenderloin District and some other streets in between. I'm talking blocks full of these type of people, man. Several blocks. Okay, you get to see people using drugs out in the open. Heroin, meth, whatever the fuck they use now. They're pissing and defecating on the streets. The streets are disgusting.
Oof.
There's tents everywhere. It's like tent zombie land. People, just a bunch of, how pigeons are kind of annoying. I think the pigeons are more pleasant than these freaking people. Bunch of the land of the useless. It's no, for real. Even Elon Musk, where, by the way, that's where X is now, or Twitter. The headquarters of Twitter is in that area, and he goes, "It's like the post-apocalypse when I go to work there." He's right about that. And the reason why it's happening is these progressive liberals are trying to help drug addicts to get off of drugs. So what they're doing is, by the way, it's like a refuge city. So if you're homeless, they give you a stipend. I forgot, for so many dollars a month, right? And they also they're coming up with a program where, like, kind of like they try to implement it, like, I think Holland or Amsterdam does. Apparently, in Amsterdam, they have this program where they help people to get off of heroin, which is very difficult to not be addicted from heroin. It's a very addictive drug.
Yeah.
But the idea is to, slowly siphon off or reduce the dosage every use. And I mean, that's the theory. Apparently, it works in a more socialist country like Netherlands, but again, in California, which is not a socialist country, California is the state, but they're trying to be socialist, which is a big problem altogether. And a lot of people are pissed off about that. So what's happening is all the tax money is going to these programs that are not working. So what the big issue is? Yes, they're doing this type of program, but at the same time, there are halfway houses that sell these drugs illegally. So there's the loophole.
Oh God.
So now it's all like a bureaucratic political issue. It's not fixing the problem now. It's pretty much politicians saving face. Like this piece of shit, Governor Newsom, which I agree
Newscomb?
with.
Yeah.
I call him Newsom, like what Trump does. 'Cause I agree. Dude, his policies, he's just destroying that state, my friend. As a kid, California was completely different when I grew up. And by the way, this is like the Bay Area, and you go all the way to the south of California, same type of bullshit. By the way, I think anything past like Redding, which is way north of California, it's like the redneck Californians. It's a whole different state. It's a whole different type of culture. But they also have their problems. Don't get me wrong. There's still a lot of meth heads and shit like that, a bunch of hippies. But
Man.
it's not as bad as the cities, but it's still pretty bad. So yeah, the way this is being handled, the way Gavin Newsom handled California in general, it's going to shit, dude. Now it became a place where it's too expensive. It became a welfare state, and everything's so expensive to live. High prices, taxes are high. All these programs aren't helping anybody because they're trying to form it into a socialist state, which is counterintuitive. And a lot of businesses are leaving the state. It's very difficult to have a small business in California. A lot of people are leaving California and going to Houston and Atlanta and Charlotte and North Carolina. Those are booming cities, by the way.
And they're turning them
California,
blue.
correct. That is right, my friend. Yes. So that's a big issue. I think it's a cultural problem. I think people are too focused on government helping them out instead of, hey, how about being an American, understanding your ideals, and you could create your environment, and you could make your own business. You could do whatever you want. But unfortunately, people are so
Who's
goddamn
gonna teach you
lazy.
that? Who's gonna
It
teach
ain't
you to
the
pick
it
yourself
ain't
up
the
by your
schools.
bootstraps?
It ain't the schools.
Exactly, exactly.
It has to be with I know it's sad, but it always but here's the thing, and that's where family comes into play. Family is very important, especially in a free state like the United States. You have to have like a strong community. If you don't, you're pretty much fucked. So that's what's happening, to be honest. And fortunately, more and more people, more young people are the more dependent on the states. They're becoming weaker. They have no willpower. They're slowly giving away their liberties to the government to help them out instead of helping themselves out, which I find it disgusting. And that's why they're advocating for socialist ideals. So that's not a big surprise. What's happening in New York City? So with the new mayor and all.
Oh god.
So yeah, it's not looking good, my friends. The whole ideal of United States has changed. I mean, I know for a fact within my lifetime, I mean, a majority of my existence, it's not the America that I've had learned on in textbooks or in stories. Like that has long gone. Like I think the generation called the greatest generation, my grandfather's generation, which he's not American, he was Mexican. Those are the dude. It's there's this video. I have to find it. It's heartbreaking. It's heart wrenching to watch. It's this old, like in his 80s or 90s. This old man, he was a veteran, and he just crying, saying like, "We didn't fight for this. All the
Oh,
stuff that
yes,
we
I've seen that.
sacrificed."
I've seen that.
That shit was heart wrenching to watch, man. Like it's all he goes, it's all going down the drain. Fuck, you know. So yeah, this is it's there's so many reasons why we're headed that direction. It's not one stamp. I could talk at length and nauseam about why we're America how it is today. It's not the America that most people respected back 50 years ago. And I don't blame the United States for not being respected anymore. I don't blame the rest of the world, and they have the right to like laugh at America because it's kind of embarrassing. And I'm gonna make I'll shout out to Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is a very controversial figure, but he's saying the same shit that I'm saying right now, but at a higher clip and more informative than I am. And he has a big following. I think he's not on YouTube, of course, for a reason. I'm not going to talk about here, not yet. But he's on Rumble, and like every live stream he does, he has like at least 30,000 viewers live stream.
Right.
This is like he's competed against a lot of networks. You know what I'm saying? Who the hell has 30,000 live viewers? That's huge, man. So good for him. And we need voices like him. And he's in his early 20s, like he's 24, so it's just good. I think he's slowly trying to, he's speaking up for the younger generation, which I'm very happy about what he's doing. So, anyways, sorry, I went on a monologue.
No, it's
Um,
okay, but then like all of
uh,
this left me a little depressed. Things are not looking well, to be honest. Things are not looking well on a lot of fronts, and where does that put the future of my kid?
yeah,
I don't
dude.
know,
Like
and I
I feel
want
for
another one.
parents.
Like
I feel,
I
yeah,
want another kid, but where the
yeah,
fuck is the world gonna be in 20 years when he becomes a man?
dude.
What do I prepare him for? What the fuck do look, buddy? Like, here's the thing: if the world
Yeah,
is on the current trajectory, what am I supposed to tell him? Look, buddy. You're gonna have to accept the fact that women are gonna hate you. You're gonna be targeted for everything. It's always gonna be your fault. It'll be really hard for you to get a job because you're a man.
yeah.
Girls are
Well,
gonna do this to you. Society's gonna do that to you. What the fuck do I prepare my kid for?
I mean, the best thing you can do is just teach them your trade and find other people that do other trades. I think there's a lot of
Well,
trades out there for men.
it's not just trade. It's daily life, dude. It's
Life in general.
socialization.
No,
It's
I
everything.
got
Life in
you.
general. Like
Yeah, yeah.
what was that? What is that thing that Keanu Reeves does that every time he takes photos with people, he never hugs them. He just hovers his arm next to them. Like I'm supposed to teach him that shit, right? You're not like when you take photos with people, stand up like your grandfather does with your hands behind your back because this is what I've learned to do over the years. Like don't
Yeah.
touch girls, don't do this, don't do that. Be very careful. Like I'm supposed to scare the shit out of him that girls in the
Mm.
past have done this and you might fall for the same things. Like what might the outcome be of that? Like, for him to turn gay, or what if in 20 years
Oh, that's a good question.
pussy boys become the same thing? Oh, he touched me. I'm going to sue him for sexual assault.
Oh God, I hope that that could be
Imagine,
realistic.
imagine
Yeah.
If pussy
Uh,
boys in 20 years, because the pussification of the male has been that boat is sailing full steam ahead, I think.
yeah, bro. Oh, speaking of which, didn't I give? I
Imagine
posted it recently.
imagine like, hold on, let me just
Uh,
finish my thought.
yeah,
Imagine
sorry.
if imagine if 5 years from now,
Hmm.
some guys like in some corporate environment, some little pussy boy is being verbally reprimanded by his manager because for he's not doing his job well, and this guy sues his manager, like one guy sues another guy for sexual harassment.
Oh, I could definitely see that.
He
I could
shoved
definitely
me.
see
He
that.
wanted to pin me down and rape me in my pooper. Like, what
Well,
the fuck kind of a world are we? Oh God, I just ruined my
no,
day.
here's the thing, and that's why I said earlier, we got to pass a law that prevents that. But false accusations. If you find
Yeah,
if
good
that
luck.
person, yeah, good luck with that, right? But it's gonna be
Yeah,
a
good luck.
fucking mess. So,
California
uh,
canceled the law where like you're not like, you don't even have to tell anybody if you've got AIDS and you think they're gonna pass a law like this. Fuck no, no, no. I don't
that's
see it.
why Gavin Newsom is a nuisance. I don't like that guy at all. I posted on by the way, I posted on Telegram about this kid. Apparently he has a lot of followers. Jesus Christ, this kid is cringe. He's in his 20s, but he's like a complete bitch. What's his name? Dean Withers. And there's a video called Dean Withers crashes out over his anxiety pit. It's like, yo, this kid is in his 20s and he's acting like this. Dude, kids like this would get their ass kicked in school. Now they go, oh, you shouldn't bully kids anymore. This is the result when you don't bully kids because there's no standards anymore how to be a man.
Oh
Fuck.
God.
So again, this is going to be for your kid, man. I definitely will never. I will not raise him in the United States. Definitely not. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how China is, bro. I don't know how other parts of Eastern Europe. I don't know how it is, but it's just men are becoming more feminized, man. Overall in the West, I can't speak for other countries, bro. So
Jesus,
I
this
know,
looks
man.
like a 13-year-old. Hold on,
Yeah,
let
but he's
me.
in his 20s. Yeah, check it out. It's cringe, bro. Like this is a 20-year-old acting like this. Like I wanna kick his ass now. I have anxiety. Like what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? You're a guy.
Oh God.
It's not like a straight girl, bro. What the fuck is wrong with you? And that's the thing
Yes,
too. Like
an
and yeah,
anxiety pen is a type of vape pen. What the fuck?
yeah, and they're making fun of him for that, which is fine. I don't
Anxiety
blame them.
pens are electronic devices that vaporize a liquid containing cannabidol. Fuck it all. Fuck Fuck medicine terms.
Oh,
CBD,
but
a
here,
compound
but
found in cannabis plants. They're typically used to
uh,
help manage anxiety and stress symptoms. Oh my God. Whatever happened when anxiety was part of developing?
that's what I'm saying. You regulate this naturally. It's a natural development thing, but now we're dependent on drugs to not be, you know what I'm saying? Like we're becoming dependent on stupid shit. And I think, man, I wish we had Kobe in the room because we would definitely talk about if psychology even is a real practice, which I think it's overused and I think it's euphemistic at this point when it comes to this sort of how to be a person in real life. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I really, really recommend that book, How Not to Be a Millennial. And I got it from Aaron Clary's YouTube. He actually recommended it. I think he co-authored it. But yeah, it's a problem. But here's the thing, my friend. I do have hope. I do have hope because not all Gen Zers are like this. There's going to be a divide. A certain percentage are going to be like this weird kid. What's his name? Winters. And there's going to be kids like like Nick Fuentes. So what's happening is I think in the Zoomer generation, there's gonna be a big divide of socialists and nationalists. That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a big. I mean, it's already polarized already, but it's gonna become more polarized. And
Yeah.
there's gonna be a huge dude. There's gonna be a huge clash for the next 10, 15 years, bro. It's not looking pretty. So I mean, I'm not a parent, brother, but that's why I'm here in Mexico. I'm out of the bullshit. Mexico's not even that much better. It's a little bit better, but it's becoming more westernized, like the United States, unfortunately. But it's still there's still a lot of elements of like men being men, which is good. But they're slowly turning to the United States, unfortunately. So we'll see what happens. So yeah, the best you can do, brother. I think you want to homeschool your kid, but I think it's a good idea. How about
Illegal.
Oh yeah, no shit. That sucks. I don't know, brother. I mean, started communities, find communities. put them in sports, shit
By
like
the
that.
time if I were to start a homeschooling community now over here,
Uh,
people are ass backwards, and we've discussed this. I mean, yesterday I ran into a fucking thread about on the Macedonian subreddit whether
yeah.
schools should teach sex education. I don't know about you. I find that to be utterly disgusting. I don't want anybody teaching my kid about that kind of stuff. I want to
I
teach
agree with
my
that.
children my own thing. And this is a gripe that I've had with my wife. If we have a daughter, which I'm hoping we will, because I'd love to have a baby girl. I have a baby boy, I want a baby girl.
Sure.
When the time comes, my wife is going to have to teach my daughter everything there is about sex. I'm also going to sit down with my daughter and I'll probably give her the male perspective, tell her how
Right.
boys can be, how boys act, which head the boys use to think when they see a pretty girl,
Mhm.
and how boys view Instagram models. They don't view them as women. They don't view them as individuals. Because the way that Instagram models dress and reveal certain parts, it's like they're inviting you to treat them as an object, not to treat them as an individual. Like I'll try to explain all of those things, what it means to be intimate, what you should do. You should never send nudes. If a guy is really desperate, just come over and film me with your eyes, as opposed to me taking photos and that thing to be perpetually stuck on the internet so that it might get leaked sometime. You don't do that. It like a woman's body is supposed to be something sacred, and I think we should go back to a time where dick pics are no longer sent and boob pics are no longer sent. If you want to see a
Mhm.
naked body, well, invite the lady over, treat her nice for an extended period of time, and then maybe she will reveal herself to you, and it'll be even more rewarding because it's in the flesh, right? So, like, I don't know how you
Mhm.
went through it. I was sat down by my dad, and my dad was never really that communicative. But the thing is,
Lucky
I
you.
think he did his homework, and me and my father had an excellent conversation.
I
And I
wish I had
actually
that.
sat him down in front of a computer, and I told him, like, "Look, Dad, here's like all of the documentation that I've read," and we started going through it together. And this is at a time when my mother went on this big press conference. She left at 10. She came back at 4 p.m. This is on a Saturday. We started talking about. He told me like, it's the most beautiful thing that you can do with a girl, with another human being, like hopefully with a girl. If he said like if you turn gay, I'll throw you off a building, and I said you don't have to worry about that. But the whole shtick about like if you get a girl pregnant and if you're careful, if you get her in trouble, if you give her a disease, if you get like you're going to be responsible, and the responsibility will fall on you. The way that we do
Mm.
things in the Balkans, at least here in former Yugoslavia, is if you get a girl pregnant, her dad's going to come over and I'm going to join him and we're going to close you in a room and we'll turn you purple and then we'll drag you in front of an altar and nobody's going to take pity on you and we're going to get you married because like back then this still happened. I think now it's kind of
It's
changed
called a
now that
shotgun wedding. I think that's what we call them,
yeah,
shotgun weddings.
yeah. Well, it's
Uh,
it's a pounding wedding here because the
oh, I
purple
mean,
man
yeah,
stands
shotgun
next to the
wedding, get
bride.
it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah.
But basically, you're gonna get the biggest beating of your life, and your life
Sure.
ends.
Uh,
Like not literally, but it ends because it's no longer gonna be about you. Think
it's gonna be
about
about your children.
because
Right,
yeah,
we become
it's
second
gonna be
class.
about like
Yes. Mhm.
it's gonna be like that whole like all of the things that you wanted to do now that you're free. You don't no longer have to go to school. Like at a certain point, you're not gonna need to go to school. You don't need to go to college. You're gonna be your old man. Don't you want to experience that? And he gave me all of these wonderful examples. And like for a time, he put a fear of like I
Mhm.
was afraid of literally having sex simply because of not making a mistake. But that thankfully went away after a while. And
Same, same, yeah.
yeah, the
No, for me for me, dude, I'm so jealous that your father sat down. I learned from, like, my siblings and, extended family's mistakes. I'm like, "Fuck
ah,
that." Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
I dropped my little fidget screwdriver. It doesn't matter. No, but the thing is, like here's the thing. I don't know how these I don't know how these are called in English, but like you have community events where
Mm,
trained professionals can talk to parents. You can have like a
mm.
biologist explain them to the things,
Oh,
and then
nice.
you can have a child developmental psychologist to explain to the parents how to
Yeah.
approach these things. But it's always better to have somebody that like first of all your parents
Trust.
know you
Yeah.
better than you do, especially at that age when
Yeah.
puberty kicks in. Your parents they like if you've ever thought that you've lied to your parents, you've lied to them and you've lied to yourself. They fucking know.
Yeah, of
They
course,
can
of
read you
course.
like an open book because they've observed you for so some of these things need to be taught by need to be taught by your parents. And there are many ways throughout the community, throughout the internet, through everything, how a parent can be taught how to teach these things to their children. And they can go from their own examples, like a father can teach their son, a mother can teach their daughter. Unfortunately, nowadays we have society that's broken up. It's not a lot of fathers in the household, not a lot of mothers maybe in the household.
Right.
Everybody's absent. Everybody's doing Wi-Fi parenting by remotely and everything. Everybody's busy with their electronic devices, which pisses me off. But there are these because historically, since the dawn of man until very recently, who was teaching children this? Their parents. Why outsource this to people that don't have any emotional connection with you? Look, I've run into a lot of people there were these goody two shoes characters that seem to love their school, but I've also been around a lot of teachers, and unfortunately, I was one myself. And let me tell you the relationship status between the teacher and the students. Every teacher likes one or two kids, and he doesn't have
Mm,
a high opinion about the rest.
true.
That's it. Teachers deal on average with many students. Let's say, I don't know, like in my high school, classes were 30 students each. There were like
So
5 classes per generation for like 4 years. You're dealing with at least 12 to 16 classes, at least because not every subject is taught every year, and you are dealing with at least four different groups of students that you see 1 or 2 hours a week. You're not going to develop a strong relationship with them. And how the fuck are you going to teach them about something so intimate, something that should be taken as sacred and is one of the most, like, it's a beautiful thing
mhm,
and it's a wonderful thing. How are you going to
true.
connect with them on a such an intimate level in order to transfer this to them? Because we had sex ed, and it wasn't sex ed, it was AIDS ed.
Fear.
Yeah.
STIs. Be scared. Yeah, it's awkward, man. I remember my sex education. I think our homeroom teacher taught us. I think it was like sixth grade. I'm like, all right. I mean, we got the basics, but I kind of already knew what it was about from like, rap music. First time I heard about sex, honestly, was from rap music and cousins and
Ah, dear
kids at
God, that's
school. And
horrible.
that's the worst way. Yeah, and again, I think my parents. Well, my father was not much of a father in a sense because he didn't have a father. He was an orphan. It's really fucked up, and I
Mhm.
don't blame him at all. But it is what it is. So I think I told you before. I think my parents one time we were on the road trip to Los Angeles, and my mom put this cassette tape. This like this I think it's like a audio book, but in cassette tape form, right?
Right.
and apparently it's about sex, right? And it goes, the penis goes into the vagina, like that type of shit. I'm like, what the okay. So that was really awkward right there. So for her, it was
Yeah.
really weird for her to tell me about sex, which is also problematic, by the way, which is kind of weird. I think parents shouldn't be weirded out to teach their kids properly, you know?
Well, look, we've had certain disagreements with my wife about this because
Right.
she didn't get the talk. Her
No, they
parents are
should. I think we
very
should.
awkward around her. Her
Yeah.
parents were very awkward around her, and I've
Yeah.
I've told her
Yeah.
repeatedly, especially since this little boy was born. I said I'm hoping for another kid, at least one more. But my wife
Mhm.
has the twin genes, so maybe two will pop up. Who knows? But I've told, like, if we have a daughter, you're gonna have to have the talk with her, and she's like, "Well, I don't know.
It's very
I don't."
important.
I'm like, "I don't care.
It's
You're gonna have
very
to figure
important.
it out. You're gonna have 12 years. If it's a girl, you're gonna have 11 years
Especially if
until
it's
her
a girl,
puberty
bro, it's
comes."
very important. It's
Yeah,
so important, bro.
you're gonna have to do it, and like I'm gonna talk with the girl
Jesus.
as well, and I'm gonna expect my wife to talk with my son as well,
Yeah. Yeah,
because
dude. Yeah.
like my
Yes.
wife is gonna have to give the female perspective to my boy, and I'll try to give some of the female perspectives, but obviously I'm not a woman. I can't know everything. I don't know how a woman's intuition works 100% of the time. I can guess, but that's basically chance, right? That's not really actual knowledge. I can tell him the male perspective, the pros and the cons, and like all the wonderful things that might happen, and maybe some of the bad things that might happen, and how we should treat ladies, how to be respectful towards girls, and how you should treat or mistreat whores, basically, and how you differentiate them. What is a whore and what is a lady? Because it's a fine
Yeah.
line sometimes, right? And
Right. They hide it pretty well, don't they?
yeah, well, like the Chinese have terms for that, like green tea bitch, 绿茶婊.
Lucha.
Yeah,
Lucha, yeah. 我听过. Yeah.
they have that stuff. Like they have cultural identifiers, which is pretty interesting. But the parent needs to sit
Right.
down and explain these things to him. So like,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
went on a
yeah.
tirade for that, but like, I don't know.
No, no, let me
I
say
would
something because
go ahead.
there's a term that men say. Some women say, and I don't want to sound sexist, but they do say it, and it's understandable now. It's like having a daughter could be a curse sometimes because
How?
you're constantly worried that she's gonna fuck up.
Oh, no, 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 no. Hold on.
Yeah.
No, it's just look, it's the same thing with boy because like if you have a daughter, it's constant worry that she might get pregnant. But with boys, it's constant worry they might die. I mean, just dude,
True.
look back into all the physical activities that you and I have done in my
Yeah.
here in my home. Look, the way that my neighborhood works, and I can actually show you a video of how my home looks like because I made it into a video game. From my house all the way to the when I need to go out on the street to get to the town center, I need to pass two little three-story buildings. Then there is an upward slope and there's like a little passage through a building to get on a main street. And from the main street, you go to the square. So, what I used to do is the first time I bought my bicycle, I would get up there and I would cycle really quickly and go downhill, right? I would go down the slope and I will develop speeds up to like, I don't know, 40 miles an hour. And I'm speaking in miles because like in kilometers, we got
It's
a
like
kid,
80?
Victor, his old man, like his father was a police officer and he brought a like a
That's
radar
funny.
gun once and we
Yeah.
measured how fast we were going. We were going like 65 kilometers an hour down the slope. And it was really exciting.
Yeah,
Chances
it's pretty
of
fast.
serious injury are high. And the thing is,
Very high.
compared to many of my peers here, I was very timid and very mild. I've seen kids do insane shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I was very cowardly when I was younger. I've seen kids do crazy shit.
Yeah, yeah.
So with girls, there is a worry that they might fuck up, they might get pregnant, they might get something. But
Right.
with boys, it's even a bigger worry. Boys are harder to keep
Yeah,
alive.
that's kinda yeah, I get your point there. I remember my brother used to jump off of roofs just for fun of it. Like, "You crazy motherf" yeah, it's
Like me and
hard,
my buddies, we would spend afternoons on trees.
which is fine.
Well, here's looking back at it, it's fine. But now, me as a parent, knowing my little boy, because there is that whole thing where
You gotta
it
let him get hurt, man,
doesn't
but
matter if your
yeah.
son is 18 and bigger than you and stronger than you, you still see him as a little boy, right? And
Sure,
I'm
sure,
worried that
sure.
I might do that. My father didn't do that with me. Like
Yeah, no yeah, just don't do it too much, brother. Don't do it too much. Yeah, I get it, but you
my
can't
father used to
helicopter
beat the
parent.
shit out of me. My father used to
Uh,
beat the shit out of me up until the age of 18, and then something flipped. And like I remember, I tried to test him by going off on tangents once or twice, and I was 19, and he just said okay, and he went back to slurping his stew. And I'm like,
huh?
what happened? Like I'm talking, like I'm having an internal monologue, like what the fuck, what happened? And like after
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
I stopped going off on tangents because there was a time that I was being pressured. I didn't get any privacy from my mother, and I was a teenager, and I was like, I had a boner 24/7, and she wouldn't leave me alone. And I would throw little hissy fits, unfortunately, because not a lot of room, not a lot of space.
Right,
But once my father did that, and he convinced my mother to to leave me a little bit alone, I didn't have a need to throw tantrums because I got what I wanted
right.
simply by removing the door handle from the door, and she couldn't get in. But it was a win.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you have a, healthy sense of, security of your child, but you also have to give him some freedom, right? It's a balance, right? So
Abso-fucking-lutely, absolutely. Here's the thing, when the time comes, I'm gonna teach him all about encryption, all about privacy, how to take care of your chats, how to take care of your data. I'm gonna teach him all about you because I'm paranoid about that. Look,
yeah.
I really don't. I'm not trying to get a drama moment here, but like may have misled you on certain things. I come from a place where gossip ruins people's future, so I'm very careful with what I share and about certain aspects. Like I don't remember what
Yeah.
specifically, but at certain times I might have said something false about me in order to
Just fine. I
maintain
don't
my
blame you. I
privacy.
don't care. You're
I
fine,
do
man.
this with everybody, and but look, I feel really guilty about lying to people that I like and respect, but
Yeah.
it's something that is becomes second nature simply because of the environment where I grew up. Over here, if you say you have a positive idea about a project that you want to do, you're going to be met with such derision and such contempt, and people are going to start to hate you, and they're going to try to bring you down. I remember for the longest time, I've wanted to teach people about IT, and I wanted to make video lessons, and I started making some video lessons. I got demoralized because of my environment and what they do. I can send you the links. You're not going to understand anything, but maybe I can put a subtitles on a couple of videos. But I've
Yeah.
wanted to make lessons for the longest time, and everybody, almost everybody, went, "Why? Well, why bother? What the fuck are you gonna do with it? Get the fuck out of here. Just stop wasting your time. Why bother, dude? Go do this. Go do that. Don't waste your time. That's stupid." Everybody responds the same way. Same thing with gossip. You do something good, they start circling around you like vultures. And I think I've told you
Right.
this. When I went to China, I told my mother, "Don't tell anybody I went to China because people are going to start circling around you." And over here, going abroad means you're going to earn a lot of money, and you're going to be surrounded by leeches. And if they don't drain you of money, they're going to drain you of energy. And my mother couldn't handle it. After a couple of days, she said, "My son went abroad to work in China."
Oh,
And
no.
immediately they started swarming her. She got really depressed. And here's the thing. I'm not trying to connect the dots, but my mother lost her life 8 months later.
Oh,
And it
god.
was too much stress, too much pressure, too much nonsense.
Jesus,
Now, of
man.
course, it could have been the solitude because she remained alone. She just kitty. And
Oh, poor thing.
my father was abroad. They were already at each other's throats with that. But
Ah.
if she kept her mouth shut, maybe things would. I'm not saying that it is the definitive cause, but it may have played a role in it.
Unnecessary stress added to her
Yeah,
plate,
because
which she already
because
had,
here's the
right?
thing. A couple of years before I left, my father went
Mhm.
abroad because the region here was ruined because of the Kosovo War and because of the 2001 military conflict with the Kosovo Liberation Army. The region got ruined. Money stopped coming. Companies closed. Businesses closed. Audi was supposed to open a car company on the Balkans.
Oh,
Didn't
wow.
happen. Intel was supposed to open a little company so they can
Oh
build
my
chips
god.
over here. That didn't fucking happen. This is what our prime minister told us, but it never came to fruition. So, what do all the fathers and the husbands and the men in the country start doing? They go work
Eve.
abroad. They go work for
No.
Brown and Root, which I think was Dick Cheney's company. And this is how the
Oh
U.S. got
god.
cheap labor to work in the Middle East. People went to Djibouti, to Iran, to Afghanistan. They would drive convoys. Many people would get exposed to radiation and they would die. My father was either blessed or cursed not to go in the Middle East, so my father went to work at a shipyard in Croatia.
Wow.
The
A
income was not the
shipyard.
same. Yeah, he worked as a foreman on a boatyard. He would make ginormous boats, and
Wow.
right. He's I lost my thought. My coffee's wearing off.
Well,
Sorry.
outsourcing,
So
men working overseas.
no, no, no. Like my whole point was the income in Croatia is much less as opposed to the Middle East because like in the Middle East, if you drive a convoy, it's a $5,000 bonus, and on average, you get
Nice.
$3,000 to $5,000, and they get cents. So people buy cars,
Wow.
buy stupid shit, buy they don't invest it. They engage in hedonistic behavior and like frivolous spending. But the thing is, the general
Alright.
populace here doesn't know that. They think he's churning out big bucks. So my mother
God.
began swarming people around. People around my mother started swarming. And BB, can you lend me some money? Can you do this, that, and the other?
Oh,
Rem-
no, that's that bad? God.
yeah, it is that. It's
That's
it's that
stressful.
nature, and like this is
Yeah.
why like a talking point here, a general
Shit.
talk, like, "Hey, how you doing? How's life?" And everybody has to start moping because if you say something good about yourself, if your life is good, you'll immediately get people circling
Wow,
around you.
that's very interesting. Never thought
Oh
of it that
yeah.
way. Yeah, but
This-
it's more noticeable in your type of situation in that, that, atmosphere or that, area, which, it's interesting. I know people like, in general, people like to play it down, you don't wanna be too, bombastic
Well,
about
I,
it
I understand
or
it. You want to play. You
flamboyant
want to play
about
your
it.
situation. You want to play your situation
Uh,
down, but over here you have to do it to such an extent that
yeah, it's more extreme, I think,
it's more
sure.
extreme. I remember seeing the first time when somebody started applying what I did because, like, I started working on pretty early. I started getting some income, and the few people that I
Mhm.
started telling them, like, "Hey, I'm making money." We're no longer friends, and we lost our friendship very, very quickly. And one of these guys was my middle school classmate. I actually got a guitar from him. This is how I picked up playing the guitar. We no longer talk. He has deleted me on Facebook a long time ago.
Oh,
We're not friends. We're not anything. I tried to rekindle
no, that
the
sucks.
relationship, and much later on, I realized what the reason was. So later on, I started playing it
Mm.
down. But the first instance where I saw somebody somebody else implementing my techniques about not, playing down your position was I
Mm.
came back from, this was much later. I came back from China, and one of my buddies, his cousin, was, he's a you know what handball is, the sport?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So this guy is I think he's a professional handball player, and he was trying
Mhm.
to get hired from one of these Scandinavian countries to play on their teams. And apparently, in that team, this guy's rival actually got approached by an agent, and I think he received some sort of a call. And so my friend, his cousin, and I are in a car, and we drive by this guy. And my friend's cousin chats up his rival, and he goes, "What's going on?" They're like, "Did you get any word?" And the rival says, "No, man, it's like nothing's ever happened." And he went on this tirade about how miserable he is. Once again, I'm trying to sneeze and I can't. God damn it! Ah,
I know the feeling.
God damn it! Sorry.
Look at the
And
shining lights. That helps.
yeah, well, yeah, that's what I did. And this guy went off on a tirade, and they had like a conversation for about 2 minutes in the middle of the road with this guy turning all four blinkers on, right? And
Yeah.
finally, a car came behind us. It honked. We had to drive away. And once we drove away, the cousin pulled up his window and he started cursing. He's lying. I know he's fucking lying. Before I went back to China, this guy went somewhere abroad, and I
Mm.
like just gauging the reaction of that cousin, I realized if I had been honest with people about my situation, I just know they probably wouldn't have reacted as extreme as the cousin did, but I knew the reaction would have been really close. And it's the environment and the culture of envy really forces you to reconsider your situation, how you project yourself onto other people. And I think it's
Well,
really
there's
sad. I think it's really sad.
well,
And I think this is the root of socialism and the
oh,
communism. It's weak, envious
well,
people. Weak,
well,
envious
here
people.
well, here's the thing about that. I think socialism exacerbates this type of the flaw of human nature when it comes to jealousy and, that type of deal. So I forgot who coined this, but in America, there's a term that says when the more good things you do, or more the good things, or you accomplish a lot more, you'll have more haters in your life, more haters. So it goes
Yeah,
with it's part of the path, if you will. Yeah. So I think your environment pretty much exacerbates the human flaw, which is kind of insane.
it does
I don't.
because we're
Yeah.
depleted of morals here. There is very little morality
Mm,
left here because we had a particular ism for a couple of decades that uprooted all of that shit.
I see. I
And
see.
here is the irony. The irony is
Yeah.
once you uproot the morals, how do you rule a people? Well, you rule them by force. And force
My
rule
fear.
these lands. Fear and force rule, like the secret police and all that type of shit. They
Right.
ruled these lands for the longest time. And once all of that happened, once all of that fell apart, there was no longer that fear. So people became arrogant. Nobody's gonna beat the crap out of me if I talk shit. So I'll talk shit. And we are where we are now. Everybody's a
Oh,
political expert
that's
online. Everybody's vulgar. Everybody's disgusting. And I don't know.
that sounds like X.
Yes, yes.
Sounds
There
like
you
Twitter.
go. There you go. There you go.
Or
It does
keyboard
kind of sound like
warriors.
heck.
Well, keyboard warriors is one thing, but I don't know. But in person, that's another thing. You're saying in person people behave this way, which is pretty interesting. So you're telling me in your neck of the woods, most people aren't devout in their religion anymore compared to the past, or how's that going with that?
Very few. Very
I
few.
see. I see. Interesting. Yeah, I think same here in Mexico, even though there's a lot of churches here, I think it's more about tradition than at the actual practice. But there's
Hmm.
still a lot of the tradition is still strong here. Thank God for that. United States has gone to no, they lost their religiosity since the 60s. As soon as the contraception pill was invented, that's game over for that. So yeah, I think morality is key. And I wish we had Kobe or
Kobe
Gustav.
got a job at a warehouse, so he's working. I asked him which his days are off. Maybe we
Okay.
can reschedule. He
We
says
can
I get
reschedule, sure.
weekends off. Maybe we move this I don't know, a Saturday night or a Sunday night. But the thing is, Saturday night is really not good for me. That's
Yeah, because
really
you need time
tricky.
for your family. Yeah, you need time for family.
No, because for me it's
Oh,
Sunday morning, and on Sunday I don't really want to engage in anything. It's
yeah, yeah, bro. You need your balance. No, that's understandable, dude. Yeah, we'll figure it out, man.
Do you
Yeah,
want to
because
wrap this up?
again,
Because like
sure,
if we don't,
sure.
we'll talk ad nauseum.
Yeah, I think we covered a shit ton of. I don't know. I didn't record. Because you've been using Craig. Thank God for this bot. But what time is it right now? Let's
Yeah.
see. Oh yeah, we got 2 hours. Easy. All right, man.
Yep, at
Yeah, because
least 2
we
hours.
could hold off on the whole. We could like continue next time on like how important religion is and having some sort of moral compass. You really are getting to notice that majority of the world is becoming more secular. Not all, but majority of the world is becoming secular. But yeah, I think religion does have a big role for us to have a good life. I
Oh,
really
most
do. I mean,
definitely.
yeah, yeah. All right, sir. Well, I appreciate you.